family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Lim Lee, where this is available to the billions around the world on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and so many other platforms.
Billions!
I am your host, Lim Lee. I bring the perspective of nearly 2 decades as a software engineer. Today, my sidekick is...
I am Emmett Morgan. I am a Las Vegas realtor. I hold a degree in accounting from San Diego State University. I love scotch today, and I'm having a good hair day. We are lucky to have Steven Vasquez joining us from San Diego. This dude is a mad scientist with batteries somehow. Steven, can you tell us what is going on with batteries?
Yeah, my name's Steven Vasquez. I have my own YouTube channel, my Tesla Powerwall. Yeah. Where I just kind of go through it, and I've been doing the battery building for about 2-3 years, and I've had a YouTube channel for about 4 months or so. But yeah, I'm excited to talk batteries with you guys.
So Steven is recycling certain types of lithium-ion batteries into his own version of a Tesla Powerwall. What is your YouTube channel? How do we find you if we're going to go see what you've produced here?
It's my Tesla Powerwall. Just basically search it. There's not a ton of subscribers yet, but yeah, just search it on YouTube and you'll find it. Or if I'm cool enough, maybe put it in the description.
Nice. Yeah, I'll add that in there. Yeah, on the My Tesla Powerwall, your stuff, you go from like starting from scratch. You show how your spot welding to the battery, these copper connectors, if I'm correctly, with the fuses, and you're building the whole pack with the little black spacers to hold the batteries in, and then the copper what's carrying the
conductors.
Yeah, it's the wire. Yeah,
inductors.
Wire.
Yep, and you're showing someone how to build that. Put it all together where it's like 120 it's 20 batteries, 5x4 batteries, and then you're getting like probably 100 batteries in a pack or something. So
it's like 240 per pack. Yeah.
240 per pack.
240 per pack per one parallel. So there's 2 parallels. So technically it's 480, but I split it into 2 because if I connected all those together into one pack, I wouldn't be able to carry it. So putting it into 2 makes it more manageable when I need to possibly take one out to repair a cell or replace a cell.
Awesome.
But yeah,
they're heavy.
And for the audience to know, we're gonna nerd out for the next 3 hours on this. So stay tuned.
Battery time.
You do batteries. So that's kind of the first thing, the Powerwall thing. So you got your own channel.
Yeah.
I actually watched I want to say I've watched 4 or 5 of the videos, and I'm not sure. I think I saw you have like 7 or 8 videos on there.
Yeah. It's right now. It's more instructional. Like I'm just kind of showing how I make the batteries because this is the biggest project I've ever done. I built one that was smaller. It was about 16 kilowatts or kilowatt hours. And when I finished it, it was charging my car. I think that's the first video I put on there when it was done. And I actually show you a walk and plug the car in and show how the inverter turns on, starts using the batteries. You can see the solar coming in,
to explain that anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, you have you found recycled batteries. No, you're recycling batteries and building something that's equivalent to a Tesla Powerwall. Is that a correct?
That is perfect. That is a better way to put it than I would have.
So you're making your own Powerwall out of used parts.
Yeah, basically, I saw this YouTube. I ordered a Tesla. The Model 3 a long time ago when it was like the pre-order was happening. And I have roommates. So my biggest problem was how are we going to split the electric bill when I'm charging my car in all the time. So just kind of being a little excited to get the Tesla. I was watching a lot of YouTube on it. And then I just came across one at Jehu Garcia, but he just showed how to make a Powerwall, but it was only like 1 kilowatt, but it intrigued me. Put $300 on it. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Let me see how you do that. Oh. And then that's pretty much what got it started. I mean, when I started this, I'm dead serious. I didn't know the difference between a volt and an amp.
Oh, man,
I just had to do, so I just pretty much had to do all this. As soon as I saw that, you know what, I could do that. Then that was the floodgates opening. Then I just wanted to learn everything I could.
I think I learned how to change a toilet out on YouTube once, but making your own.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was kind of a question I have in one of my lists was, now that you've been through this, what type of suggestions do you have for new people coming in? Should they, if they know nothing, like you said, you knew nothing, do you suggest people go through that, or should they research a bit more? Go ahead.
Yeah, I did a ton of research before I even got a battery pack to open, because I'm dead serious. I don't know much about like electricity when it was happening, so I don't know what could kill me, what would just shock me.
Have you had any zaps? Have you had any scares? Have you gotten any good?
Yeah, I've had not scares, because luckily everything is fused. So like, but I've had it where I accidentally put two together, basically like a reverse polarity, and I just saw all these lights flash like around, like going down the pack, because I had done it wrong. So it basically, they all popped. So it's like 240, it takes me like 2 hours to do one pack, and I think 3 packs went down. So it was like, I've done that, and I've shocked myself, but not nearly bad, when I'm like opening up like a pack, like, cause you get laptop batteries, and if you ever seen one, they're not easy to open. You actually got to get tools and try to pry it open. Then you rip it open with your hands. Like my hands will be all cut up until I was smart enough to get gloves. But once you do that, once you get the hang of that, then you shock yourself a little less. But I think I'm pretty good at it, and I still not shock myself, but I'll see just a big spark. I'm like, oh, shoot.
So this is clearly a do not try this at home, unless you want to try this at home.
Yeah.
A risky.
I mean, it is DIY.
It is DIY, but yeah,
I'm
try
this at home.
Firm believer in measure twice, cut once. I'm always gonna, just make sure I know what I'm doing first, and then that's part of the fun. As you're trying to learn, you're putting stuff together, and you didn't shock yourself.
I watched that video, that channel you mentioned, that guy that. The name you mentioned earlier, I forget his name.
Jehu Garcia.
Yeah, I watched that one, and his you said $300. It was actually $180 in parts, and then it was $120 in cosmetics. So it was kind of funny. That he got it down to that price. From your experience, did you do pretty much the same thing, or can you say is it $180 now, or is it even less nowadays?
No. I still have people I know, just because I had a Craigslist ad up for a while, where I would say if you had a dead battery or dead scooter battery, dead hoverboard, dead electric bike, all those have the lithium ion cells, which I've actually brought these little guys. They're just 18650s. See, these have been tested, so that's how I just mark them down. Nice. But if anything has this, I mean, medical packs, laptop batteries, although they're going with the flatter ones now because laptops are skinnier, but anything like that will have one of those cells. And then once you have those cells, you just build them, test them, and then you can start putting it together. But to answer your question, yes and no, because there's a few ways you can build these, especially since it kind of caught on. Before, it was all just buy copper. Go get copper bars, go get copper wire, and put it together. And that's kind of what I stuck with the big packs. Oh, sorry. But there's other ways to do it too. You can solder onto the batteries. You can spot weld onto the batteries. That's a little safer. But
so that lithium ion cell, is that correct that you just showed us? That is that basically the same kind of battery that goes into Tesla Powerwalls and Tesla Model 3s? Is that what we're looking at?
The Model X and the Model S, those ones all use these not the exact battery, but Panasonic version of these.
But basically the same thing, right?
Basically the same thing. The newer ones, I don't know if you saw Battery Day with Tesla. They're coming out with these new batteries, but in between that big step are batteries that are like these. I think they're 2750s, and they're just a little thicker and a little wider, like a little taller and a little wider around. So I guess it's the most efficient you can get a battery before you have to step up to their new battery that they're making.
So that battery you're holding, how does that compare to something like we would know what a D battery is that will stick in a flashlight, right? So how does that, is that like 10 times the juice in there, or how does that measure up to like a D battery?
I wouldn't say 10 times the juice. I would say maybe, because right here, you'll see that like I marked them after I test them. So the 2735, that's how many milliamp hours are in it. And these are 4.2 volts. And then the 26 next to it, that's the internal resistance. If the internal resistance is too high, then you don't want to. There's so many reasons to not use one of these, but you have to really test it. Like I use with my iPhone, I have like a thermal camera. So as they're testing, you got to test to see if they get hot. You got to test the internal resistance. you got to test if once they're done charging at 4.2 volts. It's called what is that called? I think it's like ghost or phantom draining, where you'll just have it fully charged and then you'll test it a week later and it's at 3.6, not 4.2 anymore. It just sagged because it's just dying. So you have to test all of that before you can say this one cell is good. So
so of all the recycled batteries that you're collecting, how many of them are decent and good for reusing? You know, how many do you have to disqualify?
Yeah. Actually, if you're using laptop batteries, you might be able to get half of them. But what's been happening lately is because what happens with the laptop batteries is there's a battery management system in them that just kind of, it checks to see what the voltage is so it doesn't go too low, it'll just shut off, doesn't overcharge it, make sure that's happening, and heat. It checks for all that. And if anything gets triggered, the thing's done. What happens is with laptop batteries is you'll have like 6 in each pack. And if one basically gets too hot, then it's just done. The pack is done. But if you open it up and take it all apart, you're actually going to find 4 or 5 that are actually still just fine. It's the 2 that made the battery management, made the battery, because you can't have a bunch of exploding laptops. So they're overly protective, which is great. but but for me, that was good for a while because I was able to break them all open and take cells.
With the laptops getting thinner and thinner, does that hurt your accessibility to batteries? Yeah,
because it's kind of transferring over from our little group, pretty much from laptop batteries to the Lime scooters and like any kind of scooter, because you'll see on the news how they throw like bins of trash cans full of like the Bird and Lyft and all these scooters, and then people just go and just scavenge them and then they'll sell them on Craigslist. And I know how much they're worth because I can pretty much get one of these now for about 50 cents a piece.
Nice.
And if you get them online, it's going to be about $1.50, $2 for just a used one that's been tested. So that's kind of why I do that. But it's mainly almost exclusively now the scooter packs and the e-bikes and the hoverboards.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like as you build the Powerwall, so I'm guessing I've seen your videos. It looks like freaking like 400, 600 battery of those small batteries in there. How do you? I don't think I remember you going through any topic where if you have to replace a certain amount, like do you have a amount that dies out and you have to replace an entire row, or how's that work?
Oh, do they go bad while they're in the wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like so if one goes bad, they're in these 18650 space. That's what these cells are called, 18650s. They have spacers that they sell on like Amazon and stuff like that. So luckily, I use a thin enough wire to where if one does go bad, and I can see it, because a lot of times you'll see like what is that, the electrolyte, the stuff start coming out of it. So you're like, okay, that's the bad one. That's why it's sagging. So when you see
the Gatorade's coming out.
Isn't it
the
like
Gatorade's coming out?
A yellow.
This one's dying.
Yellow powderish Gatorade. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. It's kind of. It's actually it's kind of like that. It really is. It gets all like yellow, and you can totally tell when it's done. Or you'll just see a fuse that popped because it was sagging in how many compared to the rest of the batteries. They'll all try to keep each other charged, because when you have all the cells in parallel, that's when you have positive, negative, and negative all the way through. Yeah. When one starts slowly sagging, the rest of them try to keep that one cell at the same level. So eventually, if it's too low and all the cells are trying to pump that thing up to get it back to normal, it'll be too many amps rushing through it and the fuse will pop. So like when I took down my last wall to merge it to this big one, I actually found like 7 or 8 popped fuses, which just made me feel great because nothing's going to run away.
So that's like if you have a herd and then one of them is falling behind, then the rest of the herd tries to pull them along until they kill them. Is that correct?
Pretty much.
Is that a good analogy?
Or it's just gone. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's actually a pretty good analogy. Yeah.
So then you said
I'm probably going to steal that, honestly.
Yeah, go for it.
So you said you have a small enough solder to that. So the bad one that's like leaking. So you'll see that the solder to it got messed up, or the yellow Gatorade, powder Gatorade. So then you have to pull that one battery out and then just pop it in a new one and resolder. So you have to resolder that connection.
Yeah, but which takes 20 seconds. Honestly. Yeah. So you pop one out, pop one in, and you're good to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does
Sorry, I thought I'd turn off notifications.
Does it? Oh, it's all good. We didn't hear anything. Does ever?
We didn't see your booty call.
Does ever an entire row go bad from one of the batteries? That might be a stupid question, but
No, not an entire row. If you had them like the packs you saw in the videos, if it was one side was positive, the other side was negative, then you're going in series. And if you were to do something like that, where you were just to maybe reverse polarity it, then you would see an entire row just go out, because that's the entire like row that it's connected to. So that all of them in parallel, you're not going to see a lot of pops everywhere. Because if you do make one mistake, that's usually when you do kind of something very stupid. Is when you see like a row just kind of go out.
Do you have any suggestions for people that, for safety reasons? So my story with, I did my RO water system, and I added just these little boxes of water detection. And I mean, there's one time I switched out one plastic tube, and I knew it was just something on my mind that that first day or two, I was like, I should keep an ear out for it. And luckily I swapped out that pipe or that tube. A day and a half later, I'm taking a nap and I hear the water alarm, beep, beep, beep. And I fly down the stairs. Like it was, I swear within 3 beeps, I was from upstairs, downstairs in the kitchen within 3 beeps. And luckily, I mean, it bursted that little tube. I used the wrong, the wrong pressure tube. It wasn't able to hold that pressure. It was too little. So it popped and then it was full on like, if you turn on your faucet, it was just shooting that amount of water was shooting out. So anyways, do you have, so like for the water thing was the water box detector, the water detector. Do you have anything for batteries usage just for people, whether it be obviously, I'm guessing a fire extinguisher, anything else?
Yes.
Safety tips?
Yeah. Safety tip wise, if one were to catch fire, there's 2 ways you can really do it. You can spend about $300. I forgot what class firefighter or fire extinguisher it is, but it's not your normal red one that you just go buy. It's specific. I believe it's yellow, specific for like lithium batteries, and you can spray that on there. But I've even heard people have trouble with that. Like they'll go through a whole bottle, and those bottles are like $300.
Oh shit.
The only thing I've ever seen work is been when I've seen the Tesla battery, or maybe it wasn't a Tesla battery, but it was like a battery pack for a car that caught fire, and they just dumped it in water. And they leave it there for like an entire day, and that is what gets rid of it. You wouldn't think that because it's I wouldn't think that. You don't put batteries in water, but that is absolutely the solution when it comes to like a runaway.
So the idea
some
is
people
that
I know
is the idea that an electrical fire is not like a normal fire, right? So
no, when these lithium, pretty much when the batteries inside the battery, once that touches oxygen, so it's not about. Then it's just going to light and keep going. There's no way to stop it. You can smother it all you want. It's just going to keep going. So it's, that's why you have to douse it, just drench it in water. So it's not getting more of that oxygen.
So could you set up your Tesla Powerwall like a carnival dunk tank? And then you yank the handle.
That is literally what I was about to say. Like I know people that are trying to build that. Like literally it's like in a big tube. You can still open it up, but they're trying to figure out ways, or sand, or you can just dump sand on it. That would work too. But or they were talking about the same thing. Bury it quickly.
How about like a cover that like a metal cover that drops down and then cuts off oxygen? Would that work?
That would work too. Though I've seen those. Those are like the professional, like when like Tesla. If you ever seen like the big Australia facility that they built like in record time or whatever, they're all covered in that kind of metal. It'll still burn and you'll still see it. You'll see it's coming out, but it won't spread. It won't go to the next set of cells. So they can keep it.
Right now, just for fun, thought experiment. If right now I'm guessing it's in your garage, your battery pack. Is that where
you're probably 12 feet away from this thing, right?
If you felt something burning, something hot, what would you do right this second? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I have 2 packs right below me. One that's completed, one that's not.
You're a half a foot from my Powerwall. Okay.
Because the Powerwall's not done yet. It's probably got another few months on it. But honestly, if they were just to catch fire, I would literally grab this. I've always thought this, if the trash can was empty, I might try to throw it in there. And just close the lid, put something really big on top of it. Hopefully that'll just keep it contained, and maybe roll it to like outside the house. So that'll just sit there and burn, and I can call the fire department.
Wait, so do you have a plastic trash can like us, or do you have a metal Oscar the Grouch kind of trash can?
No, I have a plastic one, so that's why it's probably going to be. It'll be temporary. I got to call the fire department when they get there. It hasn't gone through the plastic.
And then you're gonna owe the city or the trash company for the cost of one rolling trash can.
Oh, yeah. That's why I measure twice and cut once. I make sure every cell is basically new when I start using it. So and there's battery management systems from what you were saying before that would alert me. Like I'll get an alert on my phone if my I get the voltage is getting a little too low. Yeah. I have shunts or shutoffs so that like if it does get too low and say I'm not there, everything will just shut off. And I can also do this. I'm in IT too, so like that was part of the nerding out when I was building this, just to be able to control this from anywhere. Like I was in Vegas once. I was like, not a lot of sun today. You don't turn it off. There was an app for that. Yeah. If not, you just use RDP into the computer that's literally attached to the Powerwall too.
I know what you're talking about. For my Ethereum miner, I have like freaking like 7 alerts. Like there's a offline, like I go through a website that has its offline alert. I got my internal alert at home, and that internal alert has 3 alerts. So, I mean, there's so many points of failure.
Like me.
Yeah, I got it all covered.
Because it's like you guys are expecting to fail or something.
No, I mean, I don't know if you can see this.
Is that the fuse? Is that what we're looking at?
That's a fuse that I cut. So usually they're straight. So I have to literally just sit there, bend it, cut it, and do that 7,200 times because that's having here in the big one.
Oh,
but these all have fuses. They're about 1 amp. The cells themselves can actually get to 10, but that's how I'm like you, man. As soon as this thing even gets kind of hot, I want it to pop. I don't even want any kind of, let's try to see how high it can get. You know what I mean? No, these are actually 1 amp fuses. So, I mean, even if the cell starts getting somewhat different from another cell, it'll pop. And I don't care about that. I'll go in and replace it or see what's going on. But I'd rather have that than, throw a pack in a freaking garbage can.
Okay, so for our listening audience, a fuse is a protective device. So you're dealing with battery packs and power moving across lines. Yeah. The fuse is a spot where we want the fuse to break before something bad happens. So the fuse is typically... It's a thin wire. Is that correct? A way to describe it? Is it a thin wire that will burn out before the rest of the system, right?
I can't see it.
It's designed to be...
We could kind of see it. You can hold it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no. Well, yeah, if we have other
I'm
podcasts,
trying to show you that because inside the glass is an even smaller wire. So that's what pops.
Yeah.
So with that, so it'll sit. These are really hard to do. So I usually do this so I can sit it on top and then I spot weld it. From that point, and then I bend this top part onto the copper bar, and then I solder that so it gets the connection.
So, but the actual fuse part is designed to be the thinnest part, where if too much current goes across, it'll melt and break the connection.
It'll pop. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Cool. And I have those on all of them. Like I get a little. Sometimes I get some crap. Like, why are you putting a 1 amp fuse that's so low? I'm like, well, there's 240 of these in a pack. I'm never going to need 240 amps. I think it's like 80 the most or 90. I think the most each pack will get. But I'm just being very, very overly protective for good reason. I've seen enough videos where people are just kind of willy-nilly with them and just trying to connect stuff and boom, a fire inside their house. I'm not. Yeah. That's.
You should see my very first mining rig. I had a fireproof welding blanket underneath because I was just paranoid having like what was it? I forget 6 or 12 video cards, and it was in one area.
Damn nice. It's a good rig.
Yeah. So I had the blanket underneath and I had the rigs on top. So if any fire happened, it wouldn't. I would hope it wouldn't like get to the rest of the house because it's hopefully kind of sitting in one spot. That was my hope.
Wait, you never alerted to me to the high probability of this fire danger.
I don't know. I would say it's low probability. I'm more fearful of what Steven's doing than what I'm doing.
Me too.
Hey, wait. So, a side note: do you ever see on YouTube that dude that does random electrical shit, but he always finds a way to zap himself?
Yeah, he literally just shocks himself, right?
Yeah, like he's concocting some way to.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know. I mean, he gets a lot of views. I'm sure he's making some money, but damn, I don't know if that's worth it.
I watched some of his videos. He does. I mean, each of his videos is teaching something, so it's not.
It's true.
How not to zap yourself.
It's not really to zap yourself, but I feel like he's got It's probably from the videos where he did zap himself. He saw the numbers, the viewership go up.
Yeah.
So he decided, well, I should zap myself every video. And that, unfortunately, that's his thing now.
He's like a clown that takes a fall every time.
And I think the video I saw was like what do you call it when you put a bunch of videos together? Like
collage.
But it's just just of him just only shocking himself. Just not the video or any of the lessons. Just him shocking himself.
From your experience, dealing with the Powerwall, what does Tesla provide for safety when they give the Powerwall, when they sell it, if that makes sense? Like,
oh, yeah.
It's brand new.
Yeah, they have they're on version 2, but what they do is they have, I think in those Powerwalls they have water cooling. So like if it's like the power packs in your car, they have a small fuse just like mine, just a tiny little fuse if you ever get one of those packs to the batteries. But yeah, they use water cooling that goes, it's like a ribbon that goes through the entire pack, and it'll just, if it needs to turn on, it turns on, keeps it cooler. Just heat is your enemy when it comes to this stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, they go a little further with it. I can only use fuses. But yeah.
If you, I mean, if you were to guess the cost, say if you were to try design that water cooling yourself.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well,
they use tech that I've never even,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this thin strip that goes in between each cell and then comes out and comes around the next one. Like, I don't know how you do that. Like that's something I'd like to look into, but when I look at it, I'm like, that is too much even for me. I'm gonna have to really do some deep digging to see how you did that. Yeah, exactly. So impressive though. Yeah.
I did some looking around on how many other people on YouTube are doing their own Powerwalls. I mean, it looks like it's growing, but it's still a pretty small number though. Like,
yeah, that's what was great. Like I'm still getting like cells. I used to be able to get them on eBay because they were so cheap. No one wanted them. Now that's impossible. Now everybody's bidding on those things. That's why I usually do local now. But yeah, I remember when I joined that DIY Powerwall group, I think there was maybe 2,000 or 3,000. I think now there's 60 or 70,000.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's definitely grown, and it's great. You know, it's the Facebook groups, but it's really cool. People just who don't know will just start asking random questions. And what I like about those things in like Reddit is like a lot of those people are there just to help each other. And so if you have a question, you want to get to know how to do it, just go there, and everybody's happy to answer.
There's not some jerk on there calling everybody stupid.
There's always a jerk on there. Always calling someone stupid.
Of course, it's 4 amps, jackass.
That's just how it is.
You jerk off. Go back to electric school.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to try going through the online questions first for the heck of it, and then we'll just take... Okay. I mean, you could go on tangents as much as you want. So yeah. I'll just grab...
If anybody was watching and they wanted to see, like, get a good idea of where to start, there's HB Powerwall. That's his YouTube handle. But that's Jehu Garcia got me into it. But that guy, and I think it's Average Joe, and Mike Nako, and I think he's... Lithium Solar. I want to get, like, if those guys ever saw this, I'd want to give them all the credit in the world, because I've chatted them. I've asked questions about the inverter, because that was like a thing I had no idea. That's basically where the batteries, like you get solar that charges the batteries, then the battery or the inverter uses the batteries to charge the car. So like I didn't really know anything about the inverter part. So like I just went in, asked a whole ton of questions, and everybody's there just to help each other. So I really learned by asking questions to people that had already seen videos and knew that they knew what they were doing. Yeah. So
you're able to find some great mentors and people that knew some shit.
Absolutely.
On your journey.
Absolutely. Okay. That's why I'm always happy to help. When someone sees a video like of mine and they ask questions, I am so happy to help, because you just got to pay that stuff forward.
Yeah.
You just do. Yeah.
This person asks, how are you charging them? I'm guessing, how are you charging the batteries?
I heard solar.
Yeah, with solar individually, I just use like when I take these out to test them and charge them, I usually just use you can get them on Amazon. I think they're like Lyco, or I think that's the brand name. I do not have one out here, but yeah, it basically will do the milliamps. It'll do the internal resistance, and that's how I check each cell, and that's how I'll charge each cell until they go into a pack. Like you said though, once they're in a pack, then it's solar. It goes basically solar to a solar controller that basically matches your voltage so you can charge the batteries correctly. And then from the charger, from the cells, it goes to like I said, the inverter, and then the inverter will turn that DC, because that's all DC. Everything I said before that, the solar, the batteries, those are all DC. And that's the inverter is going to switch that to AC, which then charges the car. And then ironically, all the batteries inside there are DC. So inside the car switches it back. It's a little weird, but that's how it works.
But the car is made that way because our wall plugs are AC, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I use, there's a couple ways to charge the car too. You can do it like a regular plug at your house, that 110 volt, just like how you charge your laptop or anything. You can do that, but you get about 3 miles an hour. So that takes a long time. It'll take over a day to charge your car. But there's also the 220 volt option, and that's what I went with. And with my car, it's a Model 3. I can charge it at 32 amps. So that's why I was saying I really don't need to use 240 amps. But so I can charge it at 32 amps. But my brother has actually pre-ordered the truck, the Cybertruck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I want to be able to go a little higher. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
And I want to be able to go higher. So that's what kind of sparked the new build. Was just like, like kind of like Tim Allen. I wanted more power once I built it and saw it. I was like, this thing could be huge. I can make this giant. Like the battery I'm building has more cells than the battery in my car. I want to be able to have 0% in my car and be able to charge it completely if I needed to. Yeah. I don't recommend that, but yeah, that's what I want. Tesla says 20%, 80%. That's where you're supposed to keep it.
I want to be able to do some insane charging.
Yeah. And then they have their superchargers, which is just on another level. That's when you can go to any of those, like in Mission Valley in San Diego, you go to a supercharger and it's 40 minutes, but they're always by restaurants or something. So you can easily, or if it's a road trip, there's always something where you can just go quickly get something to eat, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. And then by the time you come back, your car's fully charged.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's the dream.
When you said that 80% thingy, I watched Linus Tech Tips, and they did I think it was Linus Tech Tips. He did testing on batteries, and they concluded that you want to, in an optimal setting, which no one's going to really do this, like a phone battery, you want to keep higher than 30% and lower than 70%. Yeah. Would you agree with that? And kind of, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think that's a little overly protective. I would go more 80-20.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's some people that even do 90-10. But I like the 80-20. You lose, like, the thing is, it's not like lead acid batteries where they say, oh, this is a 200 amp hour battery, but technically you can only use half of it. So even though but if you get a lithium battery and it says 200 amp hours, technically you can use all 200 amp hours of that. It's just, you want to make it last longer. So you got cycles. So you don't really go through a full cycle unless you go from 100% to basically 0. And then that's a full cycle. You charge it again and you get a certain amount of cycles. But if you keep it in that little sweet spot the whole time, they can last 10 years. They can last way longer than you would think a lithium battery can use. Like every time before I had the safeguard, when I first built it, at the bottom, like it dropped to like 2.9, and that's bad. That's basically 0%. Yeah. And then when I brought it back up, even after I think I did that twice, I saw a little difference. Just, it wasn't huge, but it was enough to where I'm like, okay, never again, get it to 20, keep it in there, because I don't want to have this take a year to build this thing and then only have it for like 6 months because I'm just playing around with it too much, going from 100%.
I had to scavenge all these batteries from sketchy people around San Diego.
Exactly.
By chance,
I had the previous pack for 2 years, so that was good.
By chance, do you do that with your cell phone? As in, when you charge it in the wall in the day, do you keep an eye when it hits 80-ish% and then pull it out, and then?
Oh yeah. No, not even a little.
I kind of do that. I'll use my phone down to like 20 to 30%, and then I'll charge it up. I don't keep an eye on when it hits 100 or whatever. But if I happen to be there and it's around 70%, I'll actually pull it out of the wall.
I don't know how to pull out. I just go all the way up to 100.
He just likes to leave it in there.
That's right. Moving around a little bit.
But yeah, I would say I have more of a problem with not paying attention to it when it gets to 100%. Because I use my phone for work too, so a lot of times I'm on it like all day long. So I'm gonna let it die because I need to use it. I'm not by a charger. I got to use it. But there is these cool things. This is my brother's, but like what's cool about these cells is that they kind of can go to everything. So they have these like packs that you can buy. Like these are just standard USB. Like there's USB-C in the middle, so that's fast charging for like a new phone. But inside this thing are 18650s. Oh. And the case only costs about $10. So if you can scavenge, and these things cost what, $50, like if you get one from Anchor or something like that. But if you just grab 6, I think this is 8 cells, but if you just grab 8 cells that you got for basically 50 cents because you just scavenged them or salvaged them, then yeah, that's going to cost you $4. That's $14 just to build something like this, and that's what's charging my phone right now. So
yeah, Steven's
like
holding a it's
sorry,
like a battery charger. You know, there's some people that listen to podcasts and don't see the visual.
Yeah,
but, it's one of those one of those external battery chargers. Like if you wanted a giantest battery to have to keep your phone running, so people use that to travel, or if they know their battery is sketchy, then you'll see these big packs. But you're saying inside there is the same lithium ion cells, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Exact same ones. Yeah. I've also built a battery for camping. That's like a 24-volt battery. That's just to like, because I like camping. I love camping, but I also
like batteries
too. Yeah, so I was like, I have all these batteries. I'm like, man, we could power like a TV, watch a Padre game out there. I brought a toaster once just to see if it would work. So yeah,
nice.
So it's become more of glamping than camping since I've kind of got more into this stuff, because we have lights on all the way around the canopies now because it just plugs into one of these little power packs. And
is there a Tesla charger at Petco Park?
There's one near it. I believe it's on A Street.
Gotcha.
That thing is always packed, but there is one.
I'll have to send you my camping list. Well, if my camping trips itinerary, if you want to join, we should try to connect on that. I like camping too.
Yep. All right.
You just wanted to bring all this battery shit.
I want to see that. I want to see you bring the entire Powerwall.
It's on wheels. That is because it's the new one is in a server rack. It's a 42U, and it's probably 7 feet tall. So, but I the first one I built was just whatever I could get. So I got this cheap server rack. It didn't have wheels. There's back panels were missing, so I had to like just get some plywood back when it was cheap and cut it and put it around it so I could build it. And this one was just, it has to be so much bigger, so it's almost twice the size of that one. But I was like, if I put it on wheels, I could roll it to my car. And then I started really thinking about it. Like, I'm still going to keep it on wheels, but I started realizing how heavy this thing is going to be. It's going to be damn near 1,500 pounds. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to roll that anywhere. So it was a good thought in the beginning, but I don't think it's going to happen.
So a server rack is like a heavy duty metal shelf. Is that for most people like a 6 foot tall kind of shelf?
Yeah, kind of. It's pretty industrial because like you're going to have server blades. They call them blades, so they're kind of wide and long, but not tall. Each blade. So you might, in a server rack, you could maybe have up to, I don't know the number, 15 server blades in there, and you slide them out.
So instead, Steven is stacking lithium ion batteries into the server rack, and you would stack so many
shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you would stack so many that it becomes more than you want to be dollying around.
1,500 pounds. Yeah. Almost a ton.
With the inverter, because I'm trying to do something different. Most people have their garages and they just build shelves and they put it on there, and they'll have just a cable going out and a lot of people sometimes do grid ties where they'll actually make it act like an actual Powerwall, and it'll use the power from those cells to power their home. And then they'll use the solar, and then if they're not using enough, they're charging up their battery. So at night they can still be using the battery at night. Yeah. And even though there's no solar coming in. So it's really cool what some people are doing. It's just that for me, it was mainly because I got the Tesla. So I kind of want to keep it on that vein where I was like, well, if I can get a server rack and I can just put every single thing in this server rack, because the front side of the server rack has all the cells, and the back side is going to have like the solar inverter. It's going to have the actual power inverter, all the cables going through it. I'm really trying to design something cool. But
business in the front, party in the back.
Yes, that's exactly what it's going to be.
Okay,
so I'll show it off the front with all the pretty batteries, and the back's all the work.
So instead of rolling this beast around, in the end, is it smarter just to have a long cord to go to your car?
That's what's happening. Yeah. Okay. You got a 100-foot cable going from the Powerwall to the car.
Are you going to put any pretty light show on this? I know in the computer world.
I know. I don't know. I think so. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I've thought about that more than once. I just don't know if I'm gonna do that yet. I'm like, does it look stupid? I'm like, I'm 40. Like, is it gonna
lasers, bro? Put some lasers on there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if I missed a few words in a sentence as you said. So you said that some people use these batteries at during the night because you could use the solar during the day. Are you gonna be doing that whole enchilada like?
As soon as I can afford a house out in San Diego, yes. So that's when I'll do it.
So
but yeah, that's what people do. Like my dad or my mom and my dad, they actually just got a Powerwall, and it was kind of fun. I had to go over there and explain exactly what that was, but they love it because they have where during the day they have so many solar panels. So during the day they're using the solar to power the house and also charge the batteries, so that when the sun goes down, they have a Powerwall that can still charge or power everything that they got, the TV, the washing and dryer. They can still power all that stuff. So for a certain amount of time, and it just saves them on the bill. And then during the day, if they're getting so much solar that the battery's full, everything in the house is going, it feeds back to the grid, and then they make money off that. So it's a good deal.
On yours, you have you said something about it was 1 hour for 3 miles that you said the charging was that correct? Something like that?
Yeah, like if you just to use a regular 110 outlet at your house, like I said, like you use to power your laptop, that will charge you at 3. Oh, yeah. So mine once it's done will be running 220 volts, and I can get up to 32 amps. So it's like the equivalent of about 25 miles an hour. So if you think about it, that's probably 8 hours and it'll be fully charged, but that's what you sleep in a night. So you can plug it in at night. Hopefully there's no fire. And then you wake up to a fully charged up.
I think that's the best warning for anybody watching this or listening to the show.
Oh yeah. When I first built the first one, I literally couldn't leave it. I thought it'd be so cool to plug my car and just go work. I ended up just pulling my laptop right next to it so I can make sure nothing caught fire.
I just sit and watch this for hours and hours.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, it's electricity.
Yeah,
I was new. Again, I didn't know volt from amp, so I'm still overly paranoid. So still act like that guy that doesn't know anything, which is good, I think.
Yeah.
Next online question is it possible to use vertical windmills? I'm not sure what that means. Hopefully you do.
Yeah, it's just a different type of, like you could use a windmill to like power the batteries if you wanted to. I don't know how to do that, but that is possible. And I know there's people that have done that. That's a very rare thing to see in our group because it's mainly about the batteries and mainly everybody just uses solar. But I do know people that are trying to do that. And I think that's kind of cool. More ways.
Awesome.
So a vertical windmill is just a different fan blade style where it looks more like a pole and spins around instead of.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would describe it as
technically you can use both. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a way to charge the batteries.
So it almost doesn't matter what the input of electricity is to the battery, right? It doesn't matter your source.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you have to have something in between it to control it. So like you could have something, let's say it's 100 volts, right? You need something to control how many volts that is because the batteries are only 48 or it goes up to the max of 62. So you want it charging at 62 volts so that it doesn't go any higher. That's where you get in trouble. The controller controls that, how many amps, how many volts go into the batteries. So you would just need something like that.
Right. So if you have a super windy day, you don't cook your batteries on a...
Yeah.
So
depending on how much voltage comes out.
If you keep going down this rabbit hole, you're going to end up on the exercise bike, like pedaling to power. Batteries.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Pedaling to power batteries to power your electric car so you don't have to ride a bicycle.
Oh yeah. Burn off the fat to power something else. Yeah, I get it.
Next question. Is it possible to use rechargeable AA batteries and consume and charge them in a circular fashion so that they all get used and charged at the same rate?
Like a AA circle jerk?
What are you talking about? I mean, you could, but that would be so inefficient because those AA batteries, the rechargeable ones, are not meant to just do that. The 18650s, the lithium cells are. And I believe AA's are actually, what is it? That's not even lithium ion, I think. I think some are, but they're so tiny. Like you would need so many, like I have 1,700 in mine. You would probably need 4 times that of AAA or triple AA batteries to get to that point. And it'd be these are cheaper. I mean, if you can recycle them, they're 50 cents. I mean, you go pick up 4 rechargeable batteries from Energizer, you know, at Home Depot. It's like $10, $12 for 4 batteries. So no, you can, but that would be very, very inefficient. But technically you can.
You can't do anything if you set your mind to it.
Next question.
Exactly.
Won't old batteries be less efficient?
That's why you test them, because that's what I'm throwing away. And you can usually tell that by the internal resistance will tell you that, or the heat that's coming off of it. So you want one that acts new. And even then you're still watching them. But in my experience, especially lately with all these scooters and stuff, those batteries are new. They're like genuinely not even a year old. So you kind of, right now is like a gold rush for people that recycle them. Nice. And want to collect them, but it's something we're doing now, because China used to take all these batteries and they would take them and they'd be like, oh, most of these are like still got half the juice in it. And since they can sell things with labels that are not true, they literally just rewrap them, say that they're this battery right here, this type of chemistry can only get about 3,400 milliamp hours. But China will re-release them. They're called ultra flares, I think. And they'll say they're 6,600 or 9,600 milliamp hours. They're not. Yeah. But all they did was rewrap a recycled cell like we're doing here and sell them back to us after we gave them all to them.
Dirty Chinese.
So yeah, that's exactly. So we're just kind of stopping that. So we're using them and reusing them now. Which is good.
So what's happening with scooters? Somebody gets a scooter for Christmas, and then how does it get to like, fuck this scooter, I don't want it anymore?
I would say the biggest reason we get so many cells is because the battery management systems are so crappy. Even on those bikes, or if you have a dead battery, like say your kid's got on a scooter and the battery dies, and then he doesn't really want to play with it anymore, and he lets it sit there for 3 months. The batteries could drain below the battery management system's recommendation, and it just won't turn back on. You'd have to actually open it up, put positive to negative, and try to just basically jolt it back up so that you could charge it again. And there's people that do that, but like that's usually, but if you're a Lime or you're a Bird scooter, usually they'll see those, it doesn't work, throw it in the trash. And they're not even 6 months to a year old. Like these cells, I don't have any of them in front of me. There's actually a little, like a set of letters and numbers, and you can look it up and it'll actually tell you the manufacture date. And a lot of the ones I'm using are 2018, 2019, 2017, and they're rarely used. So they all come out pretty damn new.
If you weren't so horny to get your hands on these batteries, you could be repairing scooters.
It could be.
And now, kind of that.
I could, dude, it's honestly, someone told me that. They were like, you could grab a whole bunch of scooters when you're done, take them to your house, charge them with the scooters you got that were theirs, and then just make money by charging them all. But that's a lot of work. This is a hobby.
Both of you correct me if I'm wrong. I think earlier, Emmett's question on why scooters, and I think you answered it earlier, and I think Emmett might have not connected it, is you saying the electric scooter rental company, is it Bird? Is it the name of it in San Diego?
Yeah, Bird, Lime.
I've seen those around.
Lyft.
Yeah. So there's I'm guessing they have so many where the battery is reported not good or dead, so they got to just throw it away. They just buy
chuck it. Yeah.
So because there's so many of these companies nationwide, as these things are popping out, I think in Florida, California, San Francisco, but any of those places that are near the beaches, they're
for sure.
Yeah. They just have such a supply of these scooters that they just got to throw them away.
So you could recycle an army of scooters.
You really could. I've seen some guy had a shed, I think in our DIY group, like a legitimate big ass shed that was full, bottom to top, of like I want to say Bird scooters. They weren't broken down or anything. Yeah. But like you would say, for our group, that was just like porn. Holy shit! Start breaking that shit down. Build something. And you also get these ones too. These are just regular ones. These are ones you would buy for if you wanted your bike to be electric. That's so not Lime, whatever that brand is. And then when you open it up, like, because I kind of already did that, you'll see the cells inside. So, and then this is where you either can charge it up, try to basically take it out and charge it, because that comes out. So it's like this.
How many you got there? What's that, like
Actually, this is one of the first ones I got. I want to say there's usually 30. This is a 36-volt one, so 10 batteries will get you 36, and so there's probably in series. So I would say like maybe like 60 in there. That's pretty big. That's actually a bigger pack.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Score.
So. Yeah, and the thing with these is I've already tested the entire pack, and I got it to charge again. So this thing I could technically put back together and sell it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it apart.
I've even seen those scooters. They have a similar one at Costco you can buy now for I think $500 or $600. You can get one of those very similar scooters. Yeah.
And that might be something I do when I'm done with the project, because that I did do that to help pay for the project. Is when they were all super, super cheap. I genuinely thought I was going to have a lot more shitty cells. I thought I was going to have like just a stack pile of them. But because all of them tested so damn well, I actually ended up with like 2,000 extra cells. So within the group, I sold them and made a lot of the money back that I did when I was. So basically, so far, it's just been labor, because the cells pretty much pay for themselves.
So how much you're like going online and finding people with broken ass scooters, right? And are you picking it up for how much are they selling you an old scooter for? $10 or something, or?
Yeah, usually I just take the pack and I'll take the scooter. But usually if I know how many cells are in it, it's 50 cents a cell. So if there's 30 cells in it, usually $15. But then I can turn around and say, I don't need this one. I have enough cells. Like I was telling you before, I can turn around and sell those for about $1.50 each. So it's
And then in that scooter with 30 lithium ion battery cells, what's your washout rate? Like, a couple of them are bad, or it's small.
maybe 2, maybe 3. Yeah, maybe one set of series. Okay. So that would be like 3 cells just not working.
And then what do you do with the bad ones? Is there a way to stick those in the Best Buy recycle bin or something, or?
You can do that, or you can take them somewhere. There's a place in Santee that you can go. Where you can actually just hand them like a box of them and they'll take them.
Okay.
But they don't. Not a lot of recycling centers do take it though. That was the only one I found. Yeah.
Okay.
That would take them.
So conceivably, that recycling center then will break down the parts and reuse the precious battery. Yeah.
Right now we're only at about, I want to say 15% of a battery, one of these batteries are recyclable. My uncle would give me a lot of crap for that. Oh, it's not renewable if you can't reuse it after it's completely dead. Yeah. But you already have like American Battery Company, something, the recycling company, that they've already pledged by like 2030 that they'll get it to like 60%. And then I think Tesla even said that they're going to have a program where once your battery is dead, you send it back to them. Yeah. And they're hopefully by I think it's 2050. It's always 30 or 50. But 2050, they plan to have, I think, basically 99% recyclable or 90% recyclable. So when we're at that point, then we really are not really, and no cobalt. That's the, that's
a problematic ingredient.
The evil part of it. The battery is just because of the mining of it.
I love when people promise stuff for 2050. I promise I will pay everyone's bills by 2050.
2050, yeah.
Personally, I will pay your bills.
It's like 30 years, man.
Yeah, I might die before that.
A lot of freaking time. Yeah, right. It means nothing to me.
What got you started on this battery project, or the whole thing? What got you started?
How did you go down this crazy road?
Yeah, I think honestly the Tesla. I think just seeing, because
that's right.
I didn't need a car. Sorry. Yeah, I work from home in IT, so I really didn't need a car. I had a car that was, would get you to point A, point B, sometimes back, and I was okay with that for a while. And then when I really saw a Tesla, and it really wasn't, it was kind of about the battery part of it, but genuinely I fell in love with like the autopilot, the enhanced autopilot. Then that self-driving that's coming up soon, because that stuff just intrigues the shit out of me. Like, that's insane to me. When I get in the car, me and my brother and my friend Joe Anderson. You might remember him from high school, Joe Anderson.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we've taken 3 road trips from San Diego to Boston, San Diego to Vancouver, San Diego to Miami. And that last one, I actually had the car, and I would say I'd say about 80% of it, we didn't drive. The car drove itself. So
nice.
that was the stuff that got me. Like that was just insane, and it cures all that driving lag, like that feeling you get when you're done driving on a road trip, where everybody goes out. Man, I'm exhausted from driving. You don't get that's gone. That's gone. I got all the way to like El Paso, and I still went out that night because you're just not dead focused. You keep an eye on the road, of course, but it's doing everything for you. In the rain and the snow, it'll as long as it can see lines.
San Diego to El Paso is not a fun drive. You're just coming across the 10, right?
No, yeah, it was boring. Yeah, and my brother fell asleep within
east.
like 10 minutes of the drive. So,
but the shitter is, I went to New Orleans one time. We drove, and you get to El Paso, and then it'll say like 900 miles to get across the rest of Texas.
Yeah, Texas is gigantic.
It doesn't stop.
No, I was like, we got to El Paso. Oh, at least we're in Texas now. No, it still took another day to get to get
into Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what originally got me into it, and then it really was about how am I going to charge this thing, and then YouTube, and then that was like, oh wow, and I love taking on projects like this. I like learning stuff that's new, and this really took me out of my comfort zone. I was really only just doing IT. But that I think like most people, you just need that catalyst, that spark, that genuine interest in something. And then from that point on, it was just over. I was reading nonstop.
That's really cool.
When you wrote down as one of your questions, what type of battery packs do you break down? I think you kind of went through that, but is there also a bunch of different sizes that you have to know ahead of time? Like if you're dealing with someone on Facebook Marketplace and they're selling a specific scooter and they're not, do all of them use that was it 650 battery? 18650?
Right now, yes. They damn near all of them.
That's easy.
Yeah, there are some that have the LiPo packs, which is a lithium polymer. And those are the flat ones that you'll see now, that you see on like the laptops, because you don't have these bulky packs on the back of them anymore with the battery. They're pretty much non-existent. You flip it over, it's just flat, right? Yeah. But inside that is just like your iPhone. It's just a flat LiPo battery. And those people are starting to break down and use as well. But I haven't had a lot of luck with them. The ones I've got just to play with seem to like be really crappy and not work well. But but that is where
they might not recycle as well.
Yeah, in my experience, I've seen people have good experience with them, but not me. Yeah, they're always just dead. And like, seems like these ones are, you get a little luckier with the 18650s.
For the laptop batteries, have you ran in, this is probably off topic, or have you seen the ones that kind of bulge? I don't know what.
Yeah, that's the LiPo. They're pouches.
So is that going to be a common thing for these laptop batteries, or?
No, honestly, it's not even supposed to bulge. That's been the problem with those battery management systems. It's supposed to cut it off before it even gets that. So when you see one bulging like that, then most likely that battery management system has failed, and it's just going to keep getting worse. And you need to get rid of that like immediately. So because those will catch fire just like these will.
Get a professional
never
attention.
A good thing. Never a good thing.
Yeah, I had one. I had a laptop where actually it was bulging so much. I don't know anything about batteries, so at that time it slowly through the months. The space button, you could tell it was off center.
It's a rocker.
And I didn't know what was going on. So then luckily I went online one day and started just asking Google, like, hey, why is my laptop battery bulging? And everyone's saying, yeah, that's a bad battery. Go buy a different one. Yeah. But then the funny thing that I thought was a lot of people that specific laptop that I had, it must be, I don't know, a common battery size. And they're just saying, there's a common problem with this battery or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why isn't someone why is it so bad? Why is the safety on this thing so bad? So
it's just the management systems are terrible.
Is that by chance the last generation, meaning
I blame the Chinese.
That laptop,
they make them all.
that laptop, I want to say I bought in 2016. So
did you use it a lot? Was it like just every day using it?
Not really. No.
Shouldn't be happening just yet. And when did this happen? Like this year or like a year ago?
It happened about.
This has turned into a time traveling tech support call.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like trying to break it down. I work in IT, man. I'm going to troubleshoot this. So
Yeah.
If
I
I
restart it.
if I remember, it was about 2 years ago. It started
oh
bulging.
wow, no,
Yeah.
no, it should not have been doing that. Not that quickly. No.
Okay, that's interesting
Yeah.
to hear your perspective.
Because
on
I
it.
have like, let me see here. I have a lipo battery. This is what I use to use a spot weld, and you can, I don't know if you can kind of, it's swelling already.
Yeah.
Like you can see it's already getting the space out here. But I'm very careful with this.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but this actually is what I use the spot weld. It powers the spot weld machine, which is really cool because I don't have to, like usual spot welders are giant. They're these big boxes and you got to stay right by it. But I can go in my backyard with that and just chill, get a TV back there, watch Padre game and just spot weld because this can get very monotonous when you're just cutting and spot welding 240 times on the front and then 240 times on the back just to get done with one. And there's 30 of these. So I've been doing this. I started this project pretty much right when the pandemic started. So I just needed a hobby. I needed something to do at that time because you couldn't go out. So
I think you chose something really cool. That's a great, perfect fit for that unique time in our lives here.
Yeah, right.
So do you still get up and stretch during the 7th inning when you're welding in your backyard?
If that means go get a glass of whiskey, yes.
Ta-da!
Question you wrote down was how do you break down the packs? But I think unless there's something more, kind of so you open it up and pull them.
Yeah, just tools. You just need like a flathead and patience. And
don't stab it.
Yeah, do not stab it. Honestly,
I
do not go around the whole thing where you see a little crease and just try to get through it and try not to stab it.
No hammering.
That is. Yeah, actually hammering will work if you've opened a pack up and let's say you just have the same pack, 7 of the same packs.
Yeah.
You just got to pay attention. How you open it up, the first one is important because then you can at least see what's inside and go like, oh, I should have came in through this way, not through where I go a half an inch in and I'm hitting a battery already. Okay. So it's just it's that first one that's always
prying is the best strategy.
Prying is absolutely, and I've seen some guy use a vase, then he puts it and locks it, and then literally just uses his hand and twists it, so the plastic just kind of breaks off.
Oh, a vice?
So it just depends on. Yeah, just the dude. Yeah, the vice. Sorry, that dude's huge too. Like honestly, he just
he just wants
twist
to crush.
It. I'm like, damn. Yeah, like awesome. But I have had packs where literally the only way I could open them was and that was one of the lift ones where I could not get into it. So I would literally, I did do it once, so I saw how it worked, and I saw there was like a big gap on one side, so I would literally just chuck it on the ground as hard as I could, like on cement, just so that side that had a lot of space would crack open, and then I could work it from there. So it's just trial and error.
Opening a stubborn clam.
Yeah, or that.
No,
or that plastic, when they get like the little flash cards, like the little memory cards, and there's no real way to peel it. You have to use scissors, and even if you use scissors, you still can't rip it without cutting your hands open. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
It's like an anti-theft device.
It pretty much is, yes.
So how do you build your packs?
I use copper. I use the fuses you saw. I use copper wire. Would you care if I took you off and kind of showed you?
Yeah. Go for it, man.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
also on your YouTube channel, go ahead. Take your phone, but I'll just talk for a little bit. I watch your YouTube channel, and it seems like you go through step by step exactly how to build.
Oh, look at this shit. Cow.
So this is the copper wire I use.
Yeah.
And then these are all the fuses. So if you can see, they're spot welded on there. The little tiny marks that keep these in place. And then that other wire comes here, and that's where I solder it, and I just clip off the endings. But these are all in parallel. You can see these are all the positive sides.
Yeah.
So this 240 of them. This is one that's just not done yet. This is the negative side.
Oh.
But I use wire for this. I just use regular wire, just like a 30 gauge wire, so it pops quick too. And then the rest of it is just these fuses, so it pops. But I use the copper wire.
I'll try to describe it for our audio listeners. So you're showing us what looks like a freaking 600 battery pack. I don't know the number.
240.
Oh, 240. Oh, 240. Okay.
It's 1,000 batteries.
So then you got 240 batteries, and they're kind of held together. I believe when I watch your video, you got like a black mesh battery holding Is that something?
They're called spacers. That's what they're called.
Oh, so
they're called. Yeah.
Did you buy these spacers online?
Yes, I had. Next thing I'll probably get into is 3D printing. But they're just 3D printed, and I just buy them on Amazon.
And then from what I remember on your video, those spacers, it's probably looks like it's kind of like a foot by 3 feet. Is that kind of the right size? And you got to cut them to size. Does that sound?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, no, you don't cut them to size. Luckily, they come in like 5x4s, so 20s. So like if you can see right here, this is where it's split. So this is one, and then you'll see the little the bar's probably in the way.
Oh, I thought when I watched your video,
the little squares. So there's 1, 2, 3, then there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all the way down. So where all these bars are where it crosses over. So this is like one set, then this is another set, and then it's just by each bar. I made it really OCD. So
no, it's good.
So
and then I got this too. This is the bar up front. So this is the main bar. This can handle about 230 amps. And again, I'm not using more than 90. And then you just got a drill bit and just drill a hole and then stick a screw and a nut in here. And
so
then
that all the current can flow to this one spot. Is that the idea there?
Exactly. All these wires connect to this bar. So yeah, except for the middle one because it just didn't look cool enough.
Yeah. So Steve's basically got a rack of all of his recycled batteries. They're very orderly spaced. So 240 of them in a big rectangle. And then he has meticulously soldered little connections, right? To get all of the current from each battery to kind of work together as a herd, right? Yeah. So get everything to the bar. Yeah.
And then from the bar.
Awesome. What holds so you have the black spacers, you have one on top and one on bottom, I'm assuming. What holds that together? What do you have on the outside as the frame?
Pretty much nothing. So what really so they connect, like they'll snap in, so you can
they snap in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, let me do this real quick.
That makes sense. If it snaps in, then it gives some foundation for it.
Ta-da.
So these.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like on top.
Yep.
And then what I have to do, and I don't know if you can really see it, but see how there's little holes I drilled?
Yeah.
Yep.
So from there, I use a zip tie, and that will connect like the bars, hold everything down. So
I was going to say
you can't see it because I made it really cool, but there's like 112 zip ties on each one of these, so it's pretty ridiculous.
Wow.
So you're recycling batteries, but you're killing zip ties, motherfucker.
Destroying them. Hey, those are recyclable too, man. That's plastic.
I want a zip tie made out of hemp.
Yeah, so when that catches fire, that's going to go really well.
It'll smell good. So off your left side, are those completed?
Those are packs that are those are done. What you don't have on here is that they're exposed right here. So usually what I do is there's a piece of like acrylic that goes over it, and then I will basically use a heat gun, and it'll actually start bending. So once it falls on top and it covers the entire thing, then you can pretty much stack 2 packs together because they're not touching. There's the acrylic in between it. So it's kind of like the protection, so you don't just accidentally have a piece of metal go from one end to the other and short everything.
Yeah, so electricity has a hard time crossing acrylic, right?
Yeah, it won't cross acrylic. Yeah, so
super easy on copper.
Yes.
Okay, so
that's the only thing.
240 pack you just showed us. How many of those are going to go on your server rack? I think you said before, but we're visualizing
30. So it's a 15S, which means there's 15 in series. Yeah. So if you times 15 by like 4.2, you're going to get, I think it's like 62 volts. And that's the range I'm looking for, 48 to 62 volts.
Yeah.
So these are in 240 packs, but I'm basically putting 2 of them together as one pack, because if I made a 480 pack, I literally can't lift it. It's so freaking heavy. So I split it into 2 of them, but you also connect those 2 packs in parallel. Yeah. So it's 30 total packs, but 2 packs will make 1S. So it's really 15S. So technically each pack will have 2 of these. So each pack is 480 cells. So it's twice as big. That's your Powerwall? That's my Powerwall. It's a 15S 480p, which is parallel. It's 480 cells in parallel, 15 cells in series.
Oh, so you could charge a Cybertruck with what you got on the floor back there.
Oh yeah. Pretty much. I want not like a lot, but yeah, if I just put what I have done right now, Yeah, I could absolutely charge any car, but I want to wait. It's supposed to be like probably around 72 kilowatt hours when it's done. And the battery in my car, I believe, is 65 kilowatt hours. So
you have a Tesla 3, right? Is that correct?
Model 3, yeah.
And then, so these 18650s, how many of those are sitting in the floor of your Tesla?
So the Model 3 was the first time they started using I want to say it's 2750, so we're a little bigger. So there's less of them. But gotcha. I'm pretty sure, that's a good question. I actually don't know about the Model 3. The Model S is where I really learned everything from.
Yeah.
And I know there's like, I want to say there's also 30 or so packs of like completed giant packs that lay in this big giant, like thing that's under your car. But I think they have about 30 of them as well, but they're bigger. So
30 times 240.
I think there's more than that for them. But their cells are, it's the way they make it up. But I'm not 100% sure exactly how many cells in there, because you have different ranges too. You have like the range where you only get 220 miles. Mine's a mid range, like at 260. There's a long range, I think, is now getting closer to 400 or something like that. So it's
Is
each car has
something like 1,000 of these, somewhere in that ballpark?
Oh yeah. It's probably 1,000 for sure.
Oh wow.
More than that, most likely. Yeah.
Huh. So if you ever found a crashed Tesla, then presumably there should be a ton of good batteries sitting in the bottom.
Yeah, you can eBay that stuff. Yeah, you can. Some people will just buy. It's a shortcut. I kind of like the project, but I've seen people just like buy them because they crashed the cars, but the batteries were fine, so they salvaged it and they'll grab about a whole one, which has so much juice, and then they'll start making Powerwalls out of it. So they'll power their home. And I even thought of doing that too. When my car is done, like when it says it's done, I want to, as much as I'd like to just sell it, depending on how much juice is left in it, I wouldn't mind taking that apart, because 50%, like if you're still getting 70% of something that's 65 kilowatts, that's still a lot of juice sitting in there. And powering a home is not like running a car. You're going to use probably less, honestly, like the average homeowner. Yeah. So honestly, you could break down your car when it's done, build a Powerwall, and then just use that to power your house, and then go buy another Tesla or another car. Yeah. So it's honestly a project I probably will take on once that car's done.
Once I roll it.
Once I roll it. Hard to roll. Those are hard to roll cars.
I'm thinking
because the packs are so big, you're centered more than any other car. Like a Tesla, I've never felt more control of a car than in a Tesla, just because the low center of gravity. Yeah, exactly. And my front is a trunk, like they call it a frunk. Like I open the frunk, the only thing to put in there is windshield wiper fluid. There's no oil, no nothing. It's just a trunk. I put a suitcase in there, and then I have a whole trunk in the back too. So, and since there's no exhaust pipe coming through the bottom, there's the trunk, and then there's literally a little thing you open, and then there's another trunk below it. So it's
so party in the back, smaller party in the front, and then extra small party behind the back party.
Oh yeah, that's the VIP. That's the VIP. That's the VIP side. Smaller. So.
I've been in there. Yeah, it's weird.
I'm thinking of like how if someone starts small, someone just starts out, they're a complete beginner. Back when you started, did you kind of just start off with a proof of concept on just like 2 batteries or 3, just connecting it with your amp, soldering the fuses, and then just seeing if it worked? And that's once you get 2 or 3 batteries, then you just scale up from there, right? Is that how it works? Or
like I built smaller packs. Like you can start with like a 5-volt pack. Like if you want to just charge your phone, I think that's the first thing I did. I think it was like I had 3 batteries, so I had 3 battery the laptop packs, and I think I had a total of like 9 good cells, and they all tested pretty evenly. I was like, I could build like a 12-volt pack that would charge maybe a laptop, or I can get a down converter which takes 12 volts, brings it to 5, and I can plug in a phone and see if this works, like proof of concept. Am I doing this correctly?
Yeah.
So I put that little tiny pack together and got a little buck converter, which changed it from 12 volts to 5 volts, and then charging my phone, and it's
Did you
very
say
much
butt
Frankenstein's
converter?
monster when it starts working.
Did you say butt converter?
Buck, BUCK.
Buck. Okay.
Buck, yes. It'll take the higher voltage, drop it to the volt. You can adjust it to the voltage you need, and then you can control how many amps it can put out. So if it's like your phone is only going to be able to take, depending on I know there's like supercharging on the phone now. But if you usually just need like 2 amps, you can set it to 2 amps, so you're never going over that. And yeah, so it was cool. Like I said, it was very much like being Frankenstein and creating the monster. Just it's like, it's alive, holy shit, it's charging my phone. and then from there it's just, okay, now I'm gonna build a 24-volt one, and then it's bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, it just
so if somebody wants to do what you're doing, you got to get good at testing the batteries, right? And really analyzing them and making sure they're good to start with.
By far the most important part. And the most time I spent on building these things, I spend more time testing them than I do building them, because testing them can take like an entire day depending on the cell.
Test one cell?
Yeah, that's why you buy like a bunch of the testers. Like they come in 4, so each one will test about 4. Okay. So I think it was like, I think I got 8 of them when I was doing this, so I could do 32 in a day. And usually you don't need to charge it back up. You discharge to do the test. You never charge it to see how many milliamps you get. You discharge, and that's the number you take for how many milliamp hours are in it. So once you have that, and usually I test it twice, because you could have it where it's charged great the first time, then you see it drop, and then like, oh crap. Then you test it again, it drops. So then you know that cell's bad. So that there's so many, I've had cells where I've tested 3 times. I've had cells that I've only had to test once because they were just perfect, and the internal resistance was fine. But yeah, it's testing is by far.
Are you keeping logs? Is that the game here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Usually what I do is I'll just keep it here on I'll note it. So it's just noted. So if I test it again and it drops, I'll see that. And maybe I'll put another one right below it. And then if I test it a 3rd time and it continues to drop, then I'm just chucking it at that point.
So Steven's putting a label on the battery and then writing the notes right on each battery. Actually, that sounds really efficient. Instead of me with a freaking notebook trying to write down.
No, that is the hard part though. That took me so think of it this way. You have all these cells that are done, but all the packs have to pretty much be even. Like they have to have the same, and these are giant packs. You know, they have to be around the same size. So when you put them together, one's not stronger than the other, and they'll drop pretty evenly, and they'll charge pretty evenly. But when you have all those cells tested, you have a pretty big range of like, because these ones go from 2,700 milliamp hours to about 3,200 milliamp hours. But you have to put them in an order where they equal basically the same. So there is an app for that, but that means I have to lay out all 1,700 cells, and then it'll say, all right, these 480 go in a pack, these 480 go in a pack. And I have to just go through and go, all right, this one, and then go through all 1,700, and this one goes in this pack, and do that 30 times. So that took me.
So you're trying to find batteries that have very similar performance characteristics.
Or they just basically have to equal. Like once I'm done testing it, they need to be around the same. So spread. So I have to spread them. I just can't just like start throwing them in packs and say, okay, this one's done. Let me just grab 240 more. Then this one's done. I have to find specific cells so the totals equal about the same. So like right now, these packs, so far it's working, because these packs, even though there's 2 of them together, this pack, the 240 I showed you, that is 650 amp hours, but 2 of them go together, so it's 1,300. But so far, all of them are basically 1,300. But if I get one that's just not even close to that, usually that means I missed a soldering point, or I didn't get the fuse on right and it's lifting, or it's not touching, or something like that. And then I have to go and correct all that stuff. So it's right. Or if it doesn't, then I have to actually start testing that entire pack again and see what I missed. Because I'm not going to take any risks.
So even how would I ask this? So if a whole pack goes bad or something, do you? I mean, I guess you could test individual batteries, or is it better just, do you have an extra pack on the side that you take out the bad one and just slide in the new one, and that's just
technically I'm going to have 32 packs, because 2 of them will be just like, if I do see one go down, I don't want to have to like stop everything that the Powerwall is doing just to test that. So I'll swap them out, and then that way it can keep doing its thing, and then I can see what's going wrong with the other pack.
Is it hot swappable?
Yep. Yes, but I wouldn't. I turn everything off first.
Okay.
I mean, I guess
you know how to solder fast.
That'd be pretty. No, I would not recommend that, actually. No.
Hey, it would make a much better YouTube show, man.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Watch me hot swap this shit.
I mean, random thought then on that. Would it be, if if you were to design a hot swappable system, can you do each pack has like a kill switch, and then maybe you could turn that off? I guess it would have to be in some type of parallel.
Yeah, it'd have to be between the two parallel ones, because if you were to take off like a whole series set, then my battery management system would see that giant voltage drop and then just probably turn everything off at that point, because if it hits a certain voltage, that shunt will release and everything will be off. So that's why you kind of don't want to do the hot swap, and you also don't
Just
want
turn the damn thing off.
Yeah, no, honestly, as a guy that I've had to work on NAS drives before, and being able to hot swap a hard drive is freaking awesome. But yeah, and I thought that too. Like, how could I like plug it in and then I could just pull it out, and then it's crossed my mind, but that's definitely not safe.
For our viewers that don't know what a NAS drive is, it's an NAS, network attached storage. So it's just, you're going to have probably in a server room, you'll have 20, 40, whatever, how many drives in an array, and then you could just pull one out, hot swap. You don't have to turn off the machine or nothing. And the array will actually facilitate even the data that was going to be written and or spread it out in a certain way if that one drive was already dead. So the software on it handles everything for you.
Exactly. So that better than I would have. So
I concur.
Once you get once you get your Powerwall going, how much bigger than the Tesla Powerwall, and what type of maintenance do you foresee? Like, I'm
gonna go with 5 to 6 times bigger than a regular Powerwall that you would get from Tesla.
Whoa!
You would need 5 or 6 of them to equal what I'm building.
Wait, so you're building a super Tesla Powerwall?
I'm building a super Tesla.
He didn't even mention that in the beginning. He's like just nonchalant about it.
Yeah, this is a 5 times Powerwall.
So, yeah.
All right, so you can power 5 houses.
Or you could power just a house that, like with my family, like my dad's he was in computers too. He was a programmer. So he's that guy that has like 7 monitors up. And then they love having the AC on and all that. So there's people that are power hungry. And that's kind of where the 5 times comes from, because I'm kind of the same way. My TV is going to be on, my monitors are going to be on. I have a little mini fridge going on. Like I got stuff happening. So
wait, is that fridge full of snacks and shit, or is it full of batteries?
I've actually powered that thing with batteries before though. Yeah. But that's because I usually use that camping. But since it's been hot, so I bring in a lot of the cells in here to do the spot welding and stuff. I just throw like Gatorades and stuff in there. So drinks only.
So some people will stick batteries in the freezer, right? Is that a thing, or does that matter, or what? Why are people sticking
I've
batteries
never understood. I've asked people that question. They're like, that does nothing. And I'm like, I didn't think it did either, but some people swear by it.
I've only had one story, and I stand by it because it was me.
Let me start over. Lim throws his batteries in the freezer.
Yeah. So back in 2006, 2005, I had a car battery on my, it was a car remote to turn on your alarm, but it was using one of the bigger, it was like a third party thing, and it had one of the bigger batteries. I don't know what size.
Like the size of a quarter?
No. It was like a little bit smaller than a AAA battery. The same cylinder.
Okay. Inside your key fob remote.
Yeah. Imagine a AAA, like a third the size of a AAA.
So quadruple A.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just making shit up.
It was weird. I don't know what it. Anyways, it was the car alarm that I had. So I saw on this car alarm remote, it had the battery reader. So it said your battery's low.
Okay.
So then I mentioned at work, and someone said, "Oh, throw it in the freezer."
Yeah.
It was on the battery reader. It was 1 out of 3 bars on the life of the battery. So I put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
After work, I came out. I put the battery in, and it was a full bar. I don't know what the fuck that. Yeah. No, it doesn't fucking make sense. I don't know, man. So now another thing I did watch on YouTube. They said that it prolongs the it prevents the fast deterioration of the battery. They said scientifically the micro cracks. That's the biggest problem with batteries is micro cracks. Inside the liquid housing.
For people that can't see, Steven has an incredulous look on his face right now. He's like, "This is the weirdest bullshit I've ever heard."
This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I've been studying batteries with all of my free time since the pandemic started.
Anode, cathode. You're talking about what's
so the YouTube video said they had to take
alien technology.
They had to take a microscope to look super deep into the walls of where the liquid sits and the walls that hold in the liquid, and there's micro cracks that cause the deterioration of the battery. So by freezing it, you prevent those micro cracks. You prevent it happening. That's what they said. So
I'm literally, once this is over, I'm going to look into this because
flabbergasted.
I'm genuinely.
I hope I'm right. I hope I'm remembering correctly, but that's what I
know. I'm going to chat you later. Dude, bullshit, man. I couldn't find this anywhere.
Well, so if this is correct, then Tesla should last longer in Alaska than Las Vegas, right?
That's actually that with the lithium batteries, cold is also your enemy. That's why Tesla had to release it. That's what's cool about Teslas too. They just release an update on the car, and once it starts noticing that the batteries are getting too cold, it'll actually turn itself on to heat the batteries so they stay warm, because people were having problems with starting the car because the batteries were just frozen. So
cold,
yeah,
bad for batteries.
Yeah. So even now, when you go to supercharge your car and say I'm driving and I'm trying to get there, the batteries will actually start warming up to prepare themselves to be supercharged. So, and again, none of that stuff was out when I bought my car. That stuff came over the air updates.
So glad we talked to a battery nerd today. Fantastic.
What is AA, AAA? Are they lithium ion batteries, or I don't know?
I think they can be. I haven't bought those in a while, but yeah, I think they are now. But I know they used to be, what was it? Nickel. It's like NICD, and I can't think.
NiCad.
Yeah.
Nickel cadmium.
Remember. But no, it's
maybe
it's not. It's no, yeah. I don't
remember. There are 0
exactly
chemistry degrees between the three of us here.
It's a lesser chemistry, but it's safer. Like a lot of these are safer. Like those are definitely safe. Like those won't blow up, catch fire.
Because they have a lower power density.
Yes, it's just basically they're just safer chemistry. So it's just it's a little riskier doing this, but you get more juice. So why not?
It's like
just be careful.
Yeah.
How many solar panels are you?
No, not like sex.
I'm not sure if you heard right. He's always referring to sex jokes. I just continue on.
I heard like 4 or 5.
That's what I think about all the time.
I heard 4 or 5.
I do too. I just try to hold myself back.
Batteries.
Yeah, I don't do many podcasts, so I'm like, I should probably not make a bunch of sex jokes. But
no, you can say whatever you want, man.
There might be some coming now. So
there are 2 important questions. How many solar panels are on your roof right now? And do vibrators use 18650s? These are important things.
Okay, no, I got your answers. Okay, so I have I got 12 panels right now, and mine's completely off grid, so they're actually not on a roof. They just lay on like on the ground in my backyard. They're just basically just.
Wait, you didn't want the solar police to find you, or why do they not?
I just don't know. I don't want to be like hammering into a roof. You know what I mean? I don't really, like I really need to learn how to do that. But I was kind of like, well, they're by my garage anyway. We have we have all this like land here. So why don't I just lay them out? I literally have like, those tables, those white tables. I think they're called Lifetime at Walmart, where they're like picnic tables. Yeah, I literally just put one of the legs in. So it's like this. And I just lay the panel on top of it. Yeah. So I have 12 of those, but I'm going to find 6 more.
You have a solar farm in your yard.
I have a solar farm in my yard. Yeah, there's 12 now, and there'll be 18 once I finish the batteries, because I'll need more juice.
When you say 12 and 18, is the solar panel or standard size? I don't know anything about solar panels.
Yeah, they're standard panels. They're 300-watt panels. They're 24 volts. So I have to put 2 of those in series to get to 48, so it can be closer to this when I'm building. And then again, the controller is what controls exactly what goes into it. But there's 2. Together to get 48 volts, and then there's going to be right now there's like 6 in series, but eventually there'll be 8.
So did you buy these solar panels from China on the internet?
I didn't buy them from China. I actually bought them from Corona, California. I drove up there to grab them. So you can buy everything I get is recycled. Even the panels. Even the panels came off some industrial site. They said, hey, they've been used for a year, but they ended up being like $100 a panel, sometimes even cheaper.
Yeah.
Which is just a steal if you can just drive there with like a U-Haul attached to a truck. And and yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I went with, you remember Noah Diaz?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I drove up with him. We picked up all those panels and just drove them back. And, my dad tells me how much they pay to get their solar on, like all set up.
Yeah.
And I compare it to what I've paid. I'm like, damn, if you could just do this yourself, it's just so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Because he's paying $200-$300 a panel, where if you just get a recycled one, which is, again, damn near the same exact thing. The efficiency is not gone at all. You can get them for about $100, or get a B grade one, which all that is cosmetic stuff. So you'll see like a weird spot on it. But the weird thing is it's not going to affect any of the efficiency of the panel at all. It's the blemish is why they give. Who stares at solar panels and who's looking? It's not a car. Roof. You're not going. Yeah, it's on a roof. So I'm like, why does this even matter? But they sell them for cheaper just because it has that blemish.
Do you happen to notice if they get dirty, dust and stuff, of rain, dirt? Do you have to clean it, and how often, and how much does it affect how much electricity is coming in?
You definitely have to clean it. I would say depending on where you live, how much. But definitely, I am actually quite surprised how dirty those things can get before I start noticing that I'm losing efficiency. I clean them and I'll see them like, oh wow, I am getting a little more. Mm-hmm. But I have let those things go. We live in San Diego, so there's not a ton of rain. So it's mainly just sunlight. And then it just gets a little dusty. So honestly, I probably clean them once and since they're on the ground, I probably clean them like once, probably every 3 months or so. I'll get out there and I'll just kind of wipe them all down with like a squeegee, just go through each one of them.
I wonder if by chance on a roof it would even be longer, because I hear the further you get away from the ground, the less dust there is. I don't know if that's okay. So
I think so, because I look at my parents' panels and I'm like, dude, those aren't even dirty. And I look at mine and it's like it's like night and day. So just because mine are on the ground.
Also, if you watch Charlie Brown, there was a kid that had the cloud of dust around his feet.
Oh yeah,
that illustrated the science behind this.
Pigpen? What was?
His name was Pigpen.
Pigpen. Yeah, Pigpen. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I watch Charlie Brown special every Christmas.
The kid had a cloud of dust at his feet.
So on the 12 panels, where the usage that you're gonna get, maybe it's easy. I don't know if we should talk about the Tesla Powerwall, but anyways, the usage that you get from the Powerwall or your Powerwall, and then 12 panels, like, can it charge it? Is it enough for a house to use? As in,
oh yeah. What my parents had 16 panels, so, and I'm going to be jumping to 18. So it's I'm definitely have more than enough to power a home. I'm just not.
So you could run like 53 of those tiny fridges. These mini fridges.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna even say way more than that once the thing is done. To the lineup of these things.
That'd be hilarious.
So if you have your 18 panels and then you have your super Tesla Powerwall, because it's like 5 or 6 times bigger, how long from 0 to 100 for your if the solar panels were to charge that?
When you get to your optimum system?
Yeah.
I would say 2.5 days of good sunlight. 2.5 days. It's still, because the batteries are that massive. That's how much juice is in these things. It takes that long.
How long do you think you'd use if you're sitting at 100, you got no solar for whatever 5 days? How many days can you last off of that?
If Liem could black out the sun for 5 days.
What would it take for me to rob you? When should I plan to rob you? How many days after a blackout?
Of the sky.
Speaking of shocking yourself, that's what would happen if you try to steal all that stuff.
So you have electric fence around your place. Got it.
Yeah, right. Powered by the Powerwall. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Honestly, that is a concern, because if it does get cloudy long enough, it will affect how, like if I charge it to 100%, I have 20% left in the Powerwall, and in 3 days I do enough to use 260 miles. There's a chance I only have about 50 to 60% on the wall still. So there are probably going to be times. But the thing is, it's not going to happen too often because we're in San Diego. It's not. Yeah. It's usually pretty sunny. But yeah, that's something where I would eventually have to be like, all right, I didn't want to do this, but I'll plug it into the house and charge it. I don't see that happening very often, but it probably will happen if we just like in May or in winter, something like that. For some reason, it rains a lot in May. But
I was going to say in San Diego, we know that we typically get a June gloom, that marine layer that comes in off the coast. Are you far enough inland that that's not really a factor for you?
Okay. Yeah, it'll affect you in the early morning, but all that's gone by like 9.
Burns
and that's
off pretty quick.
Yeah, it burns off pretty quick.
When you say that you'll have to plug into the wall, meaning you actually have
the house.
You actually have it disconnected and you're using off of your battery currently?
It's called it's an off-grid system. That's what I'm building because it's complete. If I moved, I could literally just put all that stuff in U-Haul and not have to take anything off the house. Everything is completely detached from the house.
Is SDG&E mad at you for not using their electricity?
I was going to.
Do they care?
Hopefully they don't see this video, but yeah.
San Diego Gas and Electric will not see this video.
So kind of adding to Emmett's question, I have a friend that he was installing I think it was Solar City. I might be wrong, here in Nevada.
Yeah.
And I saw the contract where it said something like you cannot use more than 75%. So you still have to buy 25% electricity. Their politicians, the fucking corrupt electric company has fucking got their lawyers to tell Solar City that you could sell solar panels and you could install them, but your clients cannot use more than 75%. That's what I remember seeing. I could be slightly wrong on that, but I remember him complaining about that too. But he knew what the number too. He knew about the numbers. He said, "Oh well, after 4 years, this will pay itself back, so it's all good." But that's pretty fucked up. So now I'm guessing, maybe in San Diego, have you heard anything like that?
No, nothing like that. If anything, they can make money if they have enough solar panels because they feed the grid back, and they actually make a little money. Yeah. I've never heard of you can only use 75%. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's probably why people are building off-grid systems. Because that's bullshit. Yeah. Let's be honest. That's ridiculous.
Well,
I'll just use my own power and power everything.
Yeah. Out here in Vegas, it should be a slam dunk to put up a solar panel, right? We get more sun from the sun. Yeah. So you should.
You in Arizona,
Yeah. So it should be a slam dunk, but it seems like the regulations are conspiring to keep the power company in business and doing well. I've heard some cases of somebody trying to go off grid in the middle of the desert. And they'll get served some, notice or warrant, hey, you can't be off the grid, kind of thing. So I don't know the details.
I'm pretty sure I'm almost positive you can't be off the grid in California either. You have to have at least I think it has to at least be on, from what I've heard. But you cannot go 100% off grid. I know that.
Start your
I just
own
don't know.
Company.
Yeah. I can't just start feeding neighbors some power. So that's insane. 75%.
If with your setup, wouldn't you be doing your setup? You could go 100% off that battery. And
he's already gone off the deep end.
But when
if I do able to afford a home in San Diego and I buy one, I'm gonna look at how I can find a way to grid tie this, because that would be I need to get it insured. I don't know how to go about all that either, but it would be grounded. It would be grounded to the earth. But it's something I would absolutely do, because there's more than enough power that I'll have here to power a home. So then I could just use it to charge my car when I wanted to. Hopefully the housing market crashes and then I can buy a home. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely true. That's a large part of why I left San Diego so many years ago. Is when I was 27, I looked around and said, I can't ever afford a place, so I bought a Corvette instead. That's how insane the housing market is in San Diego.
Jesus,
that was years ago. Yeah,
I work for a company in Arizona, and so I go out there every once in a while. And I it's crazy when I just see the for rent signs or for sale signs, and I'll look up how much the house is, and I'm just like, you gotta be shitting me. These are so cheap. How is it? And then I go home I leave there when it was 118 degrees and go home to San Diego to 76. And I go, oh, this is why. Okay, I get it.
Well, see, you probably weren't in Phoenix then, right? Because I hear Phoenix is
I was in
expensive.
Phoenix.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty hot market right now.
I think that was the last time I really looked at it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it was dirt cheap. That's all I remember.
Oh, they're catching up.
Being very, Yeah.
You have to go to the lesser parts of Phoenix, like Surprise or something.
Emmett works in real estate, so
Yeah.
he kind of knows the numbers and stuff.
Yeah, the Wickenburg, I know, Surprise, Mesa. I've had to go everywhere. Peoria. Yeah.
Yeah. No offense, Surprise, Arizona.
Yeah.
You mentioned that maybe in a few months you might have your Powerwall done. So right now you're not disconnected from the grid yet per se, or?
No, definitely not. I'm still using, I'm just plugging in now. The good thing about SDG&E though, is they do give you kind of a deal once you get your car. You can sign up for like a different tier. And so when I think I get charged like 3 cents a kilowatt, some ridiculously low number, if I charge the car between 12 and 6 at night. So that's usually what I stick to. That way it doesn't matter. Like if the bill goes up a little, it's not going to be much because I charged my car. So that's kind of what I'm doing now until I can build it. The problem is that I was putting out videos every week during the pandemic when it got towards the end there. But now that, I got my shots, I can go to Padre games and stuff like that. I'm finding that like it's a little harder to get back to it because I can finally go out and do things. So I'm trying to figure out when I can get back to making videos and getting this finished up, but kind of having too much fun going outside right now. It's nice.
So for our listeners, the power company in San Diego, it's SDG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric. They have to generate enough power for everybody, right? They're making, power for tens of millions of homes and whatever other electricity, the modern life that we live. So they have to use coal power plants or nuclear power plants. They have to kind of match to what people are using. So on a hot day, they got to project and go, well, shoot, people are going to switch on air conditioners more. Or, if people, are relaxing more on Sundays, that might change the demand of the grid. So they have to manage the grid and kind of balance demand with supply because it's hard to store electricity, right? So when they're sending electricity over the lines to our walls, to our plugs, they can't have it overloading or underloading, right? So they have to match it somehow. And then they're saying,
isn't that Texas is a big problem?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on there, but somehow Texas is fucking it up. But we've seen blackouts and brownouts on power grids before, so apparently it's a tough thing to do. But by incentivizing you to use this high, if a lot of people have Teslas, if you get everybody to charge between midnight and 6 a.m., that's a low demand time for them, and then that creates a more stable demand for the electricity to come. So that's
definitely a win-win for sure.
Yeah. Is that a fair description of what's going on there?
It's actually perfect. Yeah. Okay. That was a perfect way to explain that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then to add to that, like some people may feel that SDG&E or any electric company. I mean, for example, that story that I had with the electric company here in Vegas.
I've lost you there.
We're back. I think
there you go. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
The electric company here in Vegas only allowed 75% usage of your solar panels. So anyways, there's possible corruption or greed tied into all that, and it causes people to get upset. The common thing that I've heard from people that want to go off grid is those complaints of how corrupt the electric company and how wasteful they are, that they don't want to, the electric company supposedly don't want to come use renewable energies, wind, sun, and water, ocean or whatnot. So there's discussions there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I mean, logically, if I own the grid and I own a coal plant and the coal plant's, I paid for it and it's going to be good for another 30, 40 years. Do I want you going and making your own electricity, or do I want to maneuver the system so that you have to buy my electricity? That's kind of, I think.
This is where I see hydrogen coming in, honestly, because you can store hydrogen. You can store hydrogen underground, and it's incredibly easy. I mean, it's the most abundant element in the universe, and you know what I mean. It's and from companies I've seen that are coming out now, like Sun Hydrogen, they literally are using solar panels. And what it does
is, before you go into hydrogen, we have one unanswered question about vibrators. Yeah, because I know those are not hydrogen powered. But
they are not.
Are there 18650 lithium-ion batteries in consumer vibration devices?
I'm going to go with no.
Wait, have you popped one open?
I knew that was going to be the question no matter what I answered with. Well, then how do you know if you don't know?
Yeah, I got to go destroy a vibrator now. Okay. To the best of our knowledge, with battery expert Steven, who got probably
not quite sure what powers a dildo. No, not too sure.
Okay. All right. So you're saying you're interested in the hydrogen also. But that's different than storing electricity in a battery, right?
Absolutely, yeah. But the thing is with hydrogen, they're already coming out with ways, like they're basically solar panels. They look like solar panels, and what it does is it takes sunlight, and then it'll actually and any kind of water. So you could have water you could have sewage water, you could have ocean water, but it'll actually take the water, split the atoms so you get hydrogen and oxygen, and then store the hydrogen. Like that's the kind of stuff that's coming out, and hydrogen you can store underground. So you can build this gigantic tank underground, like at SDG&E. So when you do need more, you can literally just pull it from that, and it's completely clean. And that's green. That's completely green. So there's things coming down the pipeline that I'm very, very, very excited about. I just wish.
So are you saying with a solar panel or a solar farm, like in your little backyard, you can use that electricity to take my sewer water and split out the hydrogen atoms from the water? And then
eventually, it'll look just like the solar panels I have. They'll just be hydrogen panels. They'll be called something else, but they look.
Is it doing something different than a solar panel?
Yeah, because a solar panel is just taking electricity and moving it. It's just taking that electricity that you're getting that's hitting those cells, and you're just moving it to the batteries. With a hydrogen panel, you're pretty much going to have something where it's using the water and it's using the sunlight as an electron. Can't think of the word.
Electrolyzer.
Thank you. And
I don't know, I just made that up.
No, honestly, it's like, and so it uses that to split the atoms from the water, and you'll get an oxygen atom, and then you'll have the hydrogen atom, and then it'll just store the hydrogen or the H2. Yeah.
The poop goes out.
Yeah, and then then you build hydrogen fuel cells with that, which are powering cars. I know Toyota has one out now, and the byproduct, like when you drive in a hydrogen fuel cell car, the byproduct that comes out of your tailpipe is water. That is it. Just
so
water.
When you store the hydrogen, is it literally like a gas that you're storing in a high pressure tank?
Yeah, in a high pressure tank. Yep.
Okay, so you're jamming a bunch of hydrogen into a tank, and then when you release a little bit out to use it, when you say a hydrogen cell, is that like an engine or is it a combustion?
It's kind of like think of it like a battery, because I'm pretty sure they're like actual cells. They're like blocks. Oh. And then but not in a car though. A car will be kind of separate. But I've seen people with like a hydrogen cell, and then you would pretty much, that's your gas tank, and then you'd be pumping in hydrogen into that cell, and that cell would then work with everything in the car, and the byproduct, what would come out your tailpipe, is just water. So it literally, instead of just all that crap coming out of your tailpipe, you just see some water coming, and it's very little water. Like some guy was just powering his Toyota, put a glass down, and it was just out of the exhaust pipe was just water dripping out.
Oh, tell me he drank it. Please tell me he drank the water.
I think he did drink it. Yeah, he did drink it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but that's when you're talking about politicians and stuff like that, that's the first thing I think of, because this stuff is just going to be so awesome in 20 years or whenever it gets ready. But
it's the future.
It's the future. Yeah, and it's clean. Come on, it's awesome.
Hey, do you know if any of those popular drones that we can buy as consumers, those have 18650s in them?
I've looked for one. I cannot find one. They use the pouches because they're lighter. And I think when you get a drone, I think it only lasts like 15 minutes, and you got to call it back. Yeah. So they don't last. That's what I want to do. I wanted to find one that had like a slot for an 18650, and then just kind of like tie a bunch of them together. And then maybe it won't go as high because it'll weigh more, but it would last like 40 minutes or something like that.
It'd be a tank drone.
Exactly. No, I've thought of that too. I've thought of that. I would love to do that.
You dream about batteries, don't you, bro?
Yeah.
Just like how I dream of crypto, he dreams of batteries.
Hey, I made a little off Dogecoin. That was fun. I got out of that before it tanked recently. Yeah.
Are you robots?
Cryptocurrency, man, I'm all about it, but it's with Dogecoin, it's just like they can just keep printing more. Like that's not sustainable. That's not going to work. So I bought it like at 6 cents or something like that, and then I sold it I think like at 30 or something like that. And I was like, this went up too fast. I'm gonna go ahead and just get out now. Then when I saw it hit like 60 cents, shit. But
of course.
but it's dropped back down, I think, below what I sold it for. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I just recently big crash. Yeah. That and AMC. I was telling you earlier. Yeah. Good old apes.
So what have you built so far? I mean, you talked about a bunch. Is there any other little things that you built with these batteries or any other?
Yeah. Right. I built an electric bike. That's been fun. It's one of those trikes. So it's like the two wheels in the back.
Yeah.
And so it has like a basket on the back of it. And I thought, oh, that's cool. Cause we go to San Alejo, beach camping every once in a while. Yeah. So I thought that'd be kind of cool just to kind of take around, like go get firewood, just get on the bike, fill the basket up. Nice. But that's pretty cool because I'm also building it to where you can plug in a laptop, you can plug in a phone, you can plug in all kinds of shit to charge it because the battery's pretty big. So, and it can get you about 60 miles before you run out in a bike.
If you're operating electrical bike, you need to be paying attention to the trail. You can't be playing with all your electronics, man. You got to be responsible for this shit. You want to run over some poor lady and her dog with a pile of wood.
So I'll still keep an eye out.
How's that trike work? Is it still manual in the front? The trike, like the big wheel in the front?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a big wheel in the front right now. This is the first one I built, so I just want to get it to run. And right now it's just running. So I'm at that point where I'm gonna change the tire out and make those a little better because you can go like 25 miles an hour on those things. So, and that's with me taking the governor out because like you literally just plug one thing in and you can go 35 miles an hour. But I figured, I don't need to go that fast. So that's pretty ridiculous. It's like 1,000 watts. But yeah.
If you put a windmill in the basket, can you power yourself while you're driving?
You get so little juice from that.
Yeah,
you could. It's like those people that say that, why don't you put solar panels on top of the Tesla and you could charge your car. Yeah. I'm like, because you would need so many panels. It's like you could charge your phone with the amount of panels you could put on top of a car. And at that point, it's not worth it.
Yeah. But interesting. Okay.
But yeah.
I didn't know it was that little.
But yeah, it's not enough. Definitely not enough.
Okay, so it only works when you're driving towards a stiff wind. No? Okay. Sorry.
Now I'm only thinking of sex. You said stiff, and the first thing I thought.
Have you ever met any hot chicks while you're riding your trike at the campgrounds? Hey, baby.
Actively avoid them. I
got all this wood.
Can't see me like this, just driving my tricycle around.
Oh, is that cool?
For the trike, are you going to have to do a one-way? What is it? I don't know. One-way. It's not a one-way gear. I don't know what it's called. Where you pedal one way.
Oh yeah, there's no gear. It's just one. Yeah,
it's just it's electric.
Pedal and
pedal.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about those. There's actually a pedal assist. It's a sensor that you put on the foot pedal, so that you can actually, while it's still you're chugging away, you're using the electricity in the batteries. You can also pedal to actually help you go faster. And I believe it's regenerative braking, the one I have. I got to look a little more into that. That's next. Whoa. But that means when I brake, I'm actually putting juice back into the car or back into the batteries. So it's not a lot, but it's kind of like it can. So I'm going to make sure it can do it. You know what I mean?
Because you're into it.
If it can do it, I want to see it happen. And I want to mess with that because I'm a big nerd. So
I was kind of curious on that regenerative braking thing on cars. Like, does Tesla do that on their cars? Mm-hmm. How much do you get back from that? I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So if you don't use your brake, like the biggest challenge of driving a Tesla is by far just when you let go of the gas, you don't roll like in an electric, like in an ICE or a internal combustion engine car.
Mm-hmm. Like you're not coasting.
You're not coasting. You start braking, and that's the regenerative braking. That's just like you're driving a go-kart. When you let go of the gas, you pretty much stop. You know, that's the same thing. So as soon as you let go of the gas, it starts using the electricity to slow down to actually charge your car. And it does work because I've actually gone down like a hill on the freeway, and then I just get to a point where you can time it when you let go of the gas. I rarely use my brake because you get to a point where you can just let go and you're going to stop at that light before you hit it. But yeah, I've seen it where I'm driving down a hill on a freeway. I let go of the gas and I see it go from 36 to 37%. It's never going to go like 5%, but I have seen it go up to the point where it actually changed the percentage on my car. So it definitely does work. I can't imagine you get a ton of energy out of that, but it's definitely enough.
Yeah, well, you add it up because half the time you're slowing down, right?
Yeah, and that's why they say that driving in the city is better for your car than driving on a freeway. It's because you get more gas mileage out of a Tesla. Yeah, actually, I like that. Just because you're all the stop signs and stoplights, you're braking. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of reverse.
Or if you can plan your trips so that you're on top of a hill and then you're only driving downhill wherever you go.
Exactly.
That would be ideal. Yeah.
That'd be ideal. But getting back up that hill, that's where you'll lose it all. Because that's the worst part. Because if I go from San Diego to El Centro, the thing that Tesla can't really do yet is it'll say, oh, you'll have 40% by the time you get there. But when I get there, I have about 25. And that's because I don't think it accounts for the mountains as much as it should.
Elevation,
and it definitely does not account for the wind. Because when it's windy, especially going through that, it will absolutely bring your mileage down. Wow. So So it's when we did the road trip and we went through El Centro was the only spot where we basically didn't guess it right. Where I was like, oh, I'll have 20% when I get there. And I got there and I had like 4. Like it was dangerously low. Yeah. But
so we were in El Centro.
God, no. God, no. Especially like in October, September. No, thank you.
So was there a big charger waiting for you in El Centro? Do they have a charger there?
Yeah. Look, that's another thing they did that, which is brilliant. They placed those things perfectly. Okay. So the whole time we drove, there was always a supercharger or 2 that were close enough to where we got low, we could stop and charge.
Nice.
Yeah. They got them everywhere, which is brilliant on their part. They built the infrastructure first. You know, they had all that stuff pretty much done. And then they started releasing newer and newer cars to like, not just like the Model S's and the Model X's, which were just $100,000 cars, you know? Right. So it's like when I got my car, I was like, oh crap, I think I couldn't go across the country when I got it. Yeah. But I could get to like Texas or something like that.
Nice.
Before I'd be like, oh, my car doesn't have enough juice to get to the next spot. And then like 2 months later, one popped up and just, damn, they're quick. So
nice.
You wrote a question down on how are your solar panels hooked up?
Oh, that's what I kind of explained before. So it's just all like right now, all 12 panels are 2 are in series to get to 48 volts. And then the rest then you just put all those in parallel. And then it goes to a just copper wire all the way to a solar. Well, there's breakers too in between that. And there's fuses. There's so much protection. And then it goes into the controller, and the controller will say, okay, well, these panels are producing 72 volts and you have a battery system that is 62 volts at the max. So it drops it down to 62 volts and then gives you as much amps as it can produce. Like the one I have, I think is 100 amps. So it can go up to 100 amps, but it'll also just, if you're producing more than you could produce more than 100 amps, it also makes sure you don't go over 100 amps. So you stay right where you want, the sweet spot of what you want. And that's what charges your batteries.
Would you happen to have a suggestion if someone was interested in doing either getting involved on batteries and power walls versus solar power? Would you have a suggestion on which one they should play with first?
Oh, does the horse come before the cart? No, wait. Does the chicken come before the egg?
Nah, put your hands together. Learn them both. That's literally what I did.
Okay.
Yeah, learn them both. Yeah, because the first thing I had to do once I learned about the batteries was then immediately you have to learn how do I charge them, and everybody charges it with solar. So I knew I was gonna have to learn what solar was anyway. So it was kind of like, well, I'll just learn them both. So I got like these flexible solar panels that were like 100 watts, and I just kind of use those as they're all kinds of broken now, but that's how I use what I used to learn. Pretty much, yes.
Look at this.
Yeah, look how good they've been. Snap. Oh, and but yeah, so that's kind of what I did. I just learned them both because you can't have one without the other. What's what I'm doing?
Is wind power something that's kind of out of common reach per se, or go ahead.
Depending on your home, I would think if you have a big ass home or a farm, go for it. But if you live like me, just in a house with a smaller backyard, well, it's a pretty big backyard, but like I can't. And I also don't think SDG would allow you to have a giant freaking just a wind turbine going on back there.
Is there anything on a smaller range? I don't know. I know nothing about this. The questions may sound stupid. Is there anything smaller that would fit on a smaller plot of land?
Nah, I think solar panels are your best bet right now.
Gotcha.
Honestly, and they're becoming more and more efficient. So like the same size panel that I have is 320 watts. I think mine's 17% efficiency, which isn't a lot. But I think the panels coming out now are like over 30. So they just keep getting, so it's the same size, but you have like a 450 watt panel instead. And it's just like, dude, these are getting better and better every single iteration. So
yeah, if I understand correctly, the math and the physics on windmills is that they get much more efficient when you have those gigantic windmills.
Yes.
But if you have a tiny windmill like sticking up in your yard, it ain't gonna do much.
It's not. That's why when you were saying about sticking it in the back of the car or the bike, the electric bike, I was like, yeah, you could do that, but probably can't even charge your phone with that.
You could do that, but you'd be a jackass.
When looking at solar panels, is there certain what would you suggest for a newbie? Like if they're looking to purchase some solar panels, what are certain key things? Like you're saying that 17%.
Yeah, if you're just starting out, I would start out just like I did. Small panels, something you can play with, buy a cheap controller, because you can buy a better controller later, but learn what you're doing first. Even though you can have things that are programmable, like through your phone, like mine is now. I learned on a cheap one, so I knew exactly how to change the voltage on the board, because that's just stuff you're gonna need to learn. You need to learn that stuff. You need to learn everything. Because like we were talking about earlier, we joke about the shocking, but this can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Don't try to take shortcuts. Just step by step, try to learn it. That's why I watch the YouTube clips, because they take you step by step, and they know exactly what I know. They know if you just start throwing things together and say you get the panels, and then you don't know that there's supposed to be a controller, so you just plug it into the battery, then you're going to destroy the battery, destroy the panel, and you're going to cause a fire. It might burn your house down. So no, just
you can't save the planet if you electrocute yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Or starting fires.
I commend you for being a part of it, but come on, man.
I hear of certain solar panels as designs are getting better and better. I don't know much about solar panels, so I've seen ones where like if you cover something like 10% of the panel, it shuts off the panel. Does that sound correct to you? Something like that?
I think that's a PWM controller. That's a different type of controller. Those are the old controllers. The new ones are MPPT, and I do not know what that stands for, but all I know is when you get shade on a panel, it'll adjust. So it'll use less from that one panel, but you're still getting energy out of it, where the PWM will just basically shut that off, because it doesn't know what's happening, or the voltage drops, because as soon as you get shade, the voltage will drop. So with MPPT, it fixes that, and you still get juice out of your panel.
Is that all pretty much all
going to be less?
All new ones are pretty much that?
Yeah. So every time, like if you're in the group and someone says, "Oh, I found this cheap controller, should I get it?" And then we see that it's PWM. No, spend $15 more, get a cheap MPPT controller, because that's what you're going to be using from here on out anyway.
Interesting.
So is the goal of that you need your set of panels to all be given kind of the same amount of juice, or why would you want to shut down?
That's what it manages, though. Yeah, it won't ever shut down. I mean, it's pretty much got to be nighttime for it to shut down, where there's just no sun. But yeah, you'll just keep getting less and less and less the more coverage you get of those panels. But with an MPPT, it might just shut off.
Correct me if I'm
sorry,
wrong.
with that PWM,
Correct me if I'm wrong. So what I watched on that documentary, so say you have 12 panels. I think his internet cut out, but I'll just keep on talking. So you got 12 panels, and then somehow like a tree shade.
I don't know if it's my internet. It's actually pretty good.
You back?
Oh, maybe it's my internet. Oh.
No, it's the power company's monotering us.
Oh, yeah. It says our connection is okay. I see the message. So it is
bad energy's pissed off.
Well, hopefully you could hear me as I'm explaining what I think I remember from this documentary. So like say you got 12 panels, and then you got like a tree that happens to be or something else that's not normally there.
Yeah.
A big bird. Yeah. And it's covering 10% of every panel. Yeah. Each panel will turn off. In this documentary, they were saying that's the problem with current solar panels. Now, I watched this a couple years ago, so Maybe you're saying the new panels. So at that documentary, they're saying, oh, these new panels, you could cover a quarter of each panel and they won't, each panel won't shut itself off.
Yeah.
Or it won't get power.
I think they are describing the two types of control. But if they're talking about just the panels themselves, that I've never heard of. Because they got crazy panels now. And I know they have panels where basically the photons that go through the panel can bounce off of it. And then there's stuff on the back of the panels now where it can still absorb. So that's the kind of crap we're getting. Now that's insane to me. But I've never heard of that, because even if you cover 25% of the panel, you're still going to get juice. So I'm not too sure. And that was probably 5-6 years ago when I was doing that. Like when that's actually no, maybe like 3-4 years ago. Yeah, I was using those flexible ones, and there'd literally be shade on them, and I'd do that to test it to see what it did. And I never lost power from one of them, because then they would both shut off because the voltage would be too low. That never happened.
So unless I watched at that time 3 years ago, whatever, maybe that documentary was old too. So
and it was British. Hey, do you have an elaborate bird deterrent system in your backyard there to keep them off of your array?
A dog.
Yeah. The vultures don't hang out and shit on your panels because the dog's there.
No, but I've seen hawks circle my dog, thinking it's a small dog, like a smaller dog, and then it'll come down and swoop to try it again. Go, oh shit, no, you're big, and they'll leave. But that's about it.
Depends how hungry you are as a hawk.
Yeah, exactly. No, he does a good job though. Keeps the cats out too.
Nice. You listed something on the questionnaire. Why use lithium ion cells? And I'm not sure. It said lead acid afterwards.
Yeah, that was the whole. I did make that point earlier too. It was mainly because when you get one of these cells, you can use 100% of them. Like you can use this from top to bottom. Like you were talking about, it's safe to go 80, 80, 20, 90, 10, 70, 30. But with a lead acid battery, fully charged, you only have half. Fully charged. So you can only use this. And so that's the problem with lead acid, because that's actually how I very, very much started, was just playing with car batteries. And then when I learned that, I was like, well, that's stupid, and they're expensive. So when I learned, that's when I switched over to these, because just the efficiency and then how accessible they became at that point.
For the 80-20 thing, would your Powerwall benefit if you put in a controller that saw once it reaches 80, then stop charging?
That's what it does.
Oh, okay.
I have a battery management system. Yeah, it's made by Batrium, but they have I love that battery management system, because there's so many things you can do with it. Like that's where I know that if I get to a certain voltage that's low, that program will actually trip the shunt and turn off all the power, or it'll turn off and the same thing with the controller on the solar panels. If it sees that the batteries are full, you'll see it drop all the way to 0, even though there's all this sunlight outside and it's dead hitting those panels. No power will basically go into the batteries, because it can't anymore, because it controls that. So there's again, a lot of redundancies. I don't want to blow shit up, so I'm overly protective, which everyone that's doing this should be. So
is that controller is it just a power in, power out, or is there like a computer hooked up to it, or is it mainly software? Is it mainly hardware?
It's mainly, you got to set it up with a computer. Like you got to get it on the network. So you plug into it via USB in the beginning just to get it set up. And then once you have it set up, then it's just all software based, but you can still jump into it and just edit the software as you need. Like if you add more stuff, like a relay or something like that, then you can add that. But again, shut everything off first. But it's at that point, once it's set up, all the software is doing all the work. Yeah.
Nice.
So I have a big lead acid battery in my truck to get it started, right?
Yeah.
Would it make sense? I mean, how would it compare? Could you replace that battery with something equivalent of these 18650 lithium ion packs, or does that not make sense?
Because what your car battery does, it's basically you're using a shit ton of amps for like a half a second to start your car. So that's the difference. These are meant to last longer, like the steady, but they do make lithium batteries for those vape pens that you can buy, all those vape pen things, because those use 18650s, but they're bigger than these ones. These can go up to 10 amps. Those ones are like 40 amps. So and there's even bigger cells than that. I don't know what they're called because I've never used them, but they're still lithium ion, but they can produce like 100 amps, 200 amps. So essentially, I've seen people build them where you just need 12 volts, and if there are three, you only need about 4 of them, and they put about 4 of them together, or they'll put 8, so there's 2 in parallel, and then they'll use that as a car battery instead, and that will work. But if you just wanted to use these ones, it would be a gigantic battery because it's got to handle all those amps immediately.
Cold cranking amps.
Yeah, because that's what lead acid is good for. Like they can handle a shit ton of amps for a short period of time. Gotcha. They can handle that a lot better and safer. Yeah.
Sorry if I keep on asking questions you already answered. Why use a spot welder over soldering everything?
Okay, so spot welding, it's almost like what I just said with the lead acid battery, but it's kind of the opposite. It's more safe to use spot welder because it does generate a lot of amps, but it's for a split second, and it's only to get basically melt the fuse, the little wire onto it, and it makes a lot less of a mess. With us, I like to compare using a soldering iron on a battery. It's kind of like using a sledgehammer to put up a painting, put up a picture on your wall. Like it's just it'll work, but that's a little overboard, because you can once you put the soldering iron, which is 800 some odd degrees, which is way more than you want to put on a battery. You have to let it sit there for a second until it melts, and then you can use flux, but it'll melt. But you're still sticking a 800 degree piece of metal on top of the battery, and the battery will get hot. And because of that, it's it's dangerous, but it's not efficient. It's just really not. So when you use a spot welder, you just basically use like just gonna try to get them in front. That fell. These little tips, and you just put them together, and then there's a little panel, like a little foot pedal, and it just boom, just spot weld quickly, and then battery doesn't get hot, nothing gets hot, and it's on there stronger than the soldering would be. But yeah,
so it's just better.
But definitely spot weld. Yeah, and it's not as hot. It's not lead from the soldering coming out, so you don't have to have like an open window. Because that stuff can be dangerous.
I don't know anything about it. So what makes that not hot versus the soldering? So the spot welding, is it just a quick jolt of electricity to?
Yep. That melts basically connects the fuse wire to the battery itself, like the positive side, and it takes not even a quarter of a second. It's just ding, done. But like I said, with the soldering, you literally have to sit there and put that much heat on a good battery.
Entire surface.
Yeah, and you'll feel you'll feel halfway down the battery start getting warm by the time you've actually got it connected. Yeah, okay. So that's how everybody. A lot less nerve-wracking. It works, but it's a lot less nerve-wracking.
What's the cost on that spot welder, like a spot welder like that?
Yeah, so like if you were just get a soldering iron, you could do that for $40, and that's probably why people do it. But I'd been doing this for so long, and then when someone made this, someone from the community built that, the one I have, and then just started basically mass producing them for us. But yeah, and again, I can use a LiPo battery, so I can be portable with it. But that ended up costing me like $200. So you do have to invest a little bit more, but it's just like I've gotten over, I'd say 2,000 spot welds on that thing, and no real issue except for the battery swelling. But that was kind of my fault, because anytime I get something, I play with it. Like, how low can you go? Get in trouble. You know what I mean?
Wait, so what Facebook group does someone have to join to get into this and find that spot welder guy?
Yeah, DIY Powerwall. All one word.
So go on Facebook, find that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll welcome you with open arms. Honestly.
You have written on here renewable. What other forms of renewable energy? I know we talked a little bit about it. Hydrogen, waste to energy, solid state batteries. Which ones you're interested in? I'm interested in the solid state battery thing.
Me too.
But also hydrogen. The way you explained that too. So, anyways, What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, hydrogen. Like I said, I already went kind of into, but that was the one I'm most excited about, because I see that one as the most. Again, hydrogen is the most abundant.
Do you see it possible within 10 years?
Yes, 100%. Only because I've seen the panels. I have. We were talking about stocks earlier. I do have some money invested in them just because I think it's cool. I don't think you should back anything that you don't believe in the product of. But yeah, like I've seen them go from generation 1 to where it was just like a very little hydrogen they were getting out of these panels, to version 2, where it's 5 times more than that. And now they're actually got partners to try to distribute it, make it. So they're trying to become a real company, but just the technology behind it. And they're not the only ones doing it. We're actually kind of behind in this clean energy race. Like China's way ahead of us. Germany's way ahead of us. India's way ahead of us. So we're playing catch up, but that's really one of the only companies that's doing what everybody else is doing, but here, and they're in Santa Barbara. So it's of course it's a California thing, but yeah, like, and then when you get to waste to energy, that's where people are complaining about. Basically any like farm you go to, you can get all that what do you call it? Just the manure, all that crap. And
all that shit.
Literally just and it used to be where they would burn it to get energy out of that. That's how you got rid of that stuff, which was terrible. Now they actually use chambers and they throw like all that crap in there, and they use gases to actually separate everything, and so that's completely clean and you can get energy out of that. So people complain about all that waste and what we're doing with it. I'm like, well, shit, you literally have companies that know how to do this and turn it into clean energy, just waste to energy. It's just imagine throwing all your banana peels and all your crap we throw in there, and that's literally producing energy to power buildings.
Then we're back to the future.
That's always what I think about, man. That's why I use banana too.
I just want to enjoy my bacon cheeseburger without feeling like I'm creating all this manure.
But no, I mean, honestly, you'll get to a point where you'll throw away your Big Mac that you didn't finish and do like a separate container that then gets shipped out to a company where they can turn your uneaten Big Mac into energy.
I don't think I could not finish a Big Mac. That's
so much bread. So much bread. I want a real burger if I'm having a burger.
I get the double quarter pounder.
See, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That's good. That Big Mac that's bread in the middle now.
I'm not as poor as I used to be, so
exactly.
I can afford that $7 double quarter pounder.
Sometimes I forget that I find myself being cheap like that. I'll still get like something. Oh, it's 2 for $2. Oh, sweet. I'll get that. Damn it, Steven, you're not a waiter anymore. Just get a quarter pounder already.
Step it up.
Step up your game.
What are your thoughts on the solid state batteries and even graphene batteries?
Oh, graphene's actually pretty cool because that's actually stackable. So you it's not like it's separate. You can actually just grow it. And I think graphene, I think that's awesome. I think especially with processors too. I know that's being talked about over like silicon. But solid state batteries are just insane because with a Tesla, you have to wait so long. I mean, it's not even really that long. And I think we'll get to a point where it'll be 20 minutes, but 20 to 40 minutes, you have to wait to charge your car because that's just how the chemistry works. But with solid state batteries, it's almost instantly. Like you can pretty much charge your battery like 100 times faster than a lithium battery. And I think that's where you're going to see it kind of take off. If it does take off, like if lithium or other forms of clean energy can't catch up to that, no, everybody's used to just going to a gas station, pumping your car, being done in 3 minutes and going. We need to be able to get to that. And I don't think lithium is, personally, I don't think lithium's going to get there for a while. So solid state batteries is probably our best bet. And if they really beat lithium to the punch on that, I don't see them not being able to mass produce that and start putting those in cars. So like I can see solid state eventually taking out lithium. The only thing the future I see is going to be lithium, solid state, and hydrogen all working together. You're going to go to a gas pump and you're going to be able to choose, just like diesel, if you want hydrogen or you want regular gas, well, as long as that's going to live, and there's going to be a charger. That's the future I see, because then when gas is completely gone, you're just going to have more options, more clean options. It's not going to be one that rules them all, I don't think, anyway. Yeah. But solid state, it's just, the technology is just, I think we're about 10 years away from that really being a thing where we can talk about, but it's still amazing technology that's down the road.
What's a solid state battery compared to the other batteries that we are talking about? Because the normal batteries we're talking about has a positive and a negative end inside, and then some kind of chemical electrolyte to keep the charge from jumping across. So you're stacking. Yeah.
Well,
so
you want it to jump. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want it to jump across. Yeah.
We're storing electricity somehow in this chemical fluid with the positive and negative metal pieces.
Yeah.
Inside there, right? So what's a solid state compared to something like that?
I don't even think I could get into technicals of that, honestly. All I know is solid state means no moving parts, so you're really not getting that whole transfer. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I just don't want to speak and not be right.
Oh no, we're just trying to understand, because I have zero concept of what a solid state. It could be a brick for all I know.
Yeah. Again, what I look at solid state, every time I've looked into solid state, it has always been for just the recharging purpose, and I don't know what they use to. I want to say it's capacitors, but I'm not positive on that.
I watched a short documentary on it. I still don't understand it afterwards.
Yeah, same here. I've done the same thing. I even watched the video before I was like, I did mention solid state. He might bring up some solid state stuff. So I watched a documentary or just a YouTube from a guy who talks about this stuff a lot. And I watched it. I'm like, that did not help me at all.
Yeah, even on the graphene battery too. I still didn't really pick up much, except for they said the only thing I picked up was they don't think graphene is in the near future. So something
Same with processors. Yeah, I saw a documentary with graphene too, and it was just they're saying that's going to replace because with solids or with processors we have 4 cores, 8 cores, 12 cores, 16 cores, and with that you basically just stack it on top of each other. So it'll be taller, but it's the heat is higher. Like basically graphene will replace silicon, I think. It's just again going to take a while, but yeah, it's like we were saying, all this stuff is in the future, and I think the future looks great with all this stuff coming out, as long as we can actually make it happen and no one stops the progression.
Not if the solid state batteries are voodoo magic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe they'll hate it even more because it's voodoo magic. Yeah.
on the CPU thing, I might be completely wrong on this, so hopefully anybody that watches this,
according to a 12-year-old British documentary.
So I think AMD. So there's Intel and AMD, which are that sell CPUs in America, and the two biggest companies. AMD went with that stacking process, and that's what they're sort of using now. I think they're in their. I might be wrong. I think they're in their 2nd generation of it. And that's
awesome.
And we're seeing, I mean, if you compare the flagship AMD processor to the flagship Intel, oh my goodness, AMD is winning. So people are saying this is the future. Why didn't Intel see this? Intel, for whatever reason, they were hard-headed and they wanted to stick to their squeezing 10% or 15% each year. But AMD risked 5 years of R&D, and now they're usually coming ahead.
Oh, I can't believe how far AMD has come. Like 10 years ago, you were like, no, Intel, sorry. I'd much rather have an Intel. And now I'm really, not only that, a lot of the computers are starting to finally have AMDs inside them because they're cheaper and they work just the same, if not better than an Intel. And I agree completely with what you said. They kind of got lazy. I feel like they kind of let the competition catch up, and AMD was just swinging for home runs because they were losing everyone, and they got into something that was risky, but it has absolutely paid off, and now they're ahead. So
it's pretty crazy. AMD. For me, the last 3 CPUs I bought was all AMD, which to me I've always been Intel for gaming, but AMD stepped up their game. So it's just
I was gonna say, isn't AMD better for gaming now too?
You could. Their Intel kind of has a slight tiny edge on certain things, but that's debatable because say AMD is like 98% there, but then AMD does that same processor does everything else better. So are you going to trade 2% for gaming where it does everything else better too? So it's a trade-off.
And then if your graphics card sucks, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
So some computer nerd talk there.
Yeah, right.
What's the future of lithium-ion batteries? I think we kind of talked about that.
Yeah, they will all end up at Steven's house is the future.
Okay. Next one is green energy and EV stocks like Tesla, NIO.
Neo,
Genvo,
or Gevo. That was the waste energy. Yeah,
Sun Hydrogen, Plug, etc.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think, like I was saying, that my future is where all these clean energies are kind of working together. So that's kind of what I meant by that. Stock wise, I just think they're good. If you really like clean energy and you really want to look into that stuff, there's some companies out there doing really good things. And right now I think we're almost like pre-gold rush with this stuff, because eventually I think these companies, some of these, it might not even be these ones, but the clean energy movement there's gonna be an Amazon and all this stuff. So I really think.
So you're buying stocks in the green energy companies that you believe in, and you think that they have great products coming down the pipe.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do a lot of D&D when it comes to where I put my money on stuff that's futures, where it's, I don't plan on, I want to check on that. I don't even want to look at it for 10 years and then I'll see it and see what's happened. But yeah, when it comes to those ones, absolutely. I do a lot of research on that stuff before I put my money on it. But, I think right now they're good. I think Plug's charging is doing really well right now. I think it's back on a big rebound, and so is Tesla. I'm pretty sure Tesla's been up like 10 or 15% in the last few days. So,
so you're betting on our clean future.
I am. So hopefully the politicians don't ruin it, as we've been talking about.
I was just gonna kind of ask about that. Yeah. Where do you see the future of green energy, and then how do you see things like I'm thinking they're calling it natural gas. They're calling it now, when before people just call it gasoline. But there are other things, probably their politicians, their lobbyists, pushing certain agendas. I don't know the exact stuff. I just watched a documentary yesterday to try to get ready for this. I wish I would have remembered exactly what they're doing. There's some dirty tactics where they're lying to the U.S. citizens of what is renewable and what isn't, and they're saying that they're putting money into it, and they're not exactly doing it. What's your thoughts on all that?
No way.
Natural gas is still natural gas. There's certain types. There's it's like what is it? Brown energy, which is basically like natural gas. And there's another energy, which is basically just coal. And I think that's the worst one. And then there's genuine green energy, which is what I've been talking about with like hydrogen and things that are pretty much renewable. And I hate that they try to pass off things like natural gas as, oh, it's clean. What they do is in some of these plants is they put filters. They're little filters. And it's one of the companies that does it is called Fuel Cell, and they are a hydrogen company, but they kind of have their feet in both pools, because they design these scrubbers. So basically what happens is when you have the CO2 coming out of like a power plant, it'll actually capture all that, and it turns into like solid material. So there's a way to get rid of it, but to me, that's just a Band-Aid. Like it's not going to fix everything. They don't scrub that well. You're still pushing out a lot of it coming out of it. So it helps a little bit, but then they try to hype that. They try to say, oh, this is the future. We can still use everything we were. We'll just capture it. Well, that's not how it's going to work. That's not going to fix everything. And you're not really going to be able to capture all of it. Why don't you just switch over to something cleaner?
What if they can make CO2 bricks and then build housing for all of us that can't afford housing?
That is a legit thing. That's I'm not kidding. Yeah. I've seen, I want to say in Europe somewhere, they built a home like with using material like that. I think it's one single home. I could be wrong, but it was something like that. It's the material that they produces. I don't know exactly I'm sure there's other things besides that. But yeah, no, but yeah, I've actually.
I want my walls made out of used cigarettes.
Right. But yeah, like I get mad at that too, just because it's not green, and I know it's going to cost us more money up front to switch over. Yeah. But I think there has to be a generation that takes that hit. And I think if that's going to be any generation, why not it be us? Because honestly, it's for the future. It's for our kids. And I don't think there's enough of that we do in our generation to truly sacrifice, or maybe the generation before us doesn't. But
yeah, I definitely blame
I feel like millennials and the people coming up now, there's more talk about everything being green and clean and make sure we're doing it right. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just seems like it's a whole different way of thinking than you did before. Yeah. So it's just, to me, we're leaning that way anyway. I think as people that are younger now become politicians, I think it'll just be common sense to them to switch.
I think you have a terrible investment strategy, because you're betting on this green future that if it happens, then all the flowers will be rosy, the sky will be clean, and you'll make money on your investments. But if the politicians and the people with lots of money are in power and they prevent that from happening, then you won't have a beautiful, clean earth, and you will lose all your money. So you should almost bet the other way, so that you kind of win-lose either way. You should buy a bunch of oil stock and
no.
And
I will
coal
always be
technology.
optimistic. I'll always be optimistic about technology. Always. I will always be
That's
optimistic.
great, but you could bet again. You could hedge with your investments so that
hedging.
Yeah, like either I'll be poor in a beautiful planet or I'll be rich in this shitty planet. That would be smart.
I just don't think it's smart. It's smart. I just can't as a person do it.
Oh, what do you got, a soul or something?
When I first got into stocks, I really didn't know what I was doing, and I had a buddy really show me around, and he was like, "Hey, man, you need to get a little diversified." So this company PM, it's a good place to put your money, and I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I started putting my money in there. Again, I didn't look into the company that was before that. Then I realized it was Philip Morris. Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, they're the tobacco company, right?" And Joe was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Your money's not really clean there." So I was like, and immediately I was like, I'm not doing this. I went to AT&T.
There's a lot of money in lung cancer.
Yeah, right. I don't want to help with that.
You're not. You're collecting their money.
But to get back to the
so realistically, you not buying Philip Morris doesn't change anything, I guess, right?
No, not at all. But it makes my soul feel a little cleaner.
Okay, sorry. All right, back to what you were talking about.
The other company that was in there was Neo, and the only reason I brought them up was because I think they're doing something really smart with batteries. So they all actually were Tesla. If your battery dies, it's dead. Like you need a new car. Neo is actually working on something where they're hot swappable, where you can literally take your car back in and just get a new battery. They just take it out, put a new one in, and you go. And they're talking about the same kind of technology with self-driving and all that stuff too. So they're some people are really thinking that Neo could be that Pepsi to like Tesla's Coke. So that's hot swappable batteries. That's just awesome. Say you start up at the bottom and you want to go to the top. You just go in, pay for the upgrade, and get a new battery. I think that's brilliant.
Put it in the frunk.
That was it. Yeah. I love frunk, man. It's cool.
If you had to drive 12 bowling balls from here to El Paso, would you put it in the frunk or in the trunk?
I'd put them in the trunk. I put them in the VIP part, the under part. It's like
you wouldn't want to evenly distribute them?
No, not at all.
Okay. Just riding your ass low all the way to El Paso.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to start us into the final question section.
Countdown.
What are great daily habits that you have?
He's daily habits every day. He's spot welding nonstop.
Great habits that I have every day. I don't know. I mean, I get up, brush my teeth, take a shower, and I work from home, so a lot of people don't do that. But great habits. I try to walk about 2-3 miles a day.
Oh, awesome.
That's huge.
Because again, you do work from home. I did balloon up there for a bit during Corona. But I think, thank you. But yeah, it's that's definitely something you start by hating it, and then after a while, like I kind of look forward to them because it clears my head, which I feel better. And again, if you work at home, it's very easy to kind of just be within yourself.
Job of the
Hut. Seriously, I'm serious. And then when you get a project like the battery project where I'm sitting down all day, just hovering over something, I had to learn the lesson the hard way. It kind of hurt my back a bit. And I was like, it's probably because I'm just hunched over these things doing this all the time. And I just, take it out. Yeah.
Awesome. 2 to 3 miles a day sounds good. Next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency? Which we kind of touched up on that a little bit.
Yeah, I do love it. I just don't love Dogecoin. I think Bitcoin will be, I think Dogecoin's only big because Elon Musk tweets it and then it just skyrockets. Like I just want to invest everything I have seconds before he throws one of those out. And then 15 minutes later, take it out because that's when it's about to drop again, like the hype of it. But no, I like Bitcoin. I actually think that's going to be was it Urethra? What is it called?
Ethereum? The urethra coin.
Ethereum. Thank you. I was like Urethra. That's not. I think those are good because they do have limited amount of coins, correct? So they're not just printing more to have more. So that makes more sense in my head. But I think cryptocurrency is something that is definitely not going anywhere. And I think there's a lot of more legitimacy in it than people think. I think it's going to be volatile for a while. I think you're going to see these big drops and these big gains, but I think it will level out eventually. But yeah, I'm very excited about crypto. I need to learn more about it. I know enough to maybe talk to you a little bit, but if you got into details right now, I'd be like, just so it's I do like it.
Yeah, as you know, I love cryptocurrency. But as a quick summary, I think Ethereum's the King Kong, and it will continue. Well, it's a King Kong in the sense of, if you look at, like, say, their developer network, from my understanding, they hold something like 80 to 90% of the developers are there. So I think is a key indicator on where the future is in cryptocurrency. I might be slightly wrong on those numbers, but that from what the research that I've seen, that's where it's at. Even if it's at 60 or 70%, that's still massive. It doesn't change my opinion on that. And then, so I kind of think Bitcoin's the old thing that will eventually be replaced. That's my standpoint. A lot of people probably may disagree with me, but I mean, you're looking at technology. The word technology is something that kind of evolves and changes very quickly. And if Ethereum is so much better, in my opinion, than Bitcoin, because it has a programming layer, and especially as proof of stake kind of comes in, you're looking at a faster cryptocurrency that has so much more programmability, that could do so much more. So I think that's the future.
So Ethereum is the Tesla and Bitcoin is the Saturn EV.
Hey, the Saturn my first car was a Saturn.
We progressed.
It lasted like a full year and a half, but
we're looking for a future where bananas can turn into clean energy, and cryptocurrency is how we get money back from the power grid.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why Elon Musk got out of Bitcoin, because it's just the energy it produces or that you need for it is just insane. And that's every time I've brought up somebody who's into like mining has asked me, are you building this to mine? Like, that's the first question if they're into any kind of Bitcoin. Are you using this to mine? I'm like, yeah, I could, but no.
They're looking for cheap power everywhere.
Yeah. It's recycled power.
I've heard on the Elon thing about the turnaround on Bitcoin, or his change of opinion on Bitcoin, I heard was due to he gets green tax breaks or green funding money.
Yeah.
So the government said to him, hey, if you're buying Bitcoin with that, then we're not going to give you this green funding money.
Well,
that would make sense.
Sucks up a lot of process.
Yeah. Yes, it does. And that makes a lot of sense then. Yeah.
I just think it's unfortunate the way Elon went about it. I feel like if he would have worded things differently and not freaking troll Dogecoin and all that, I think that this could have had a different turnaround. It's unfortunate.
And the fact that you could buy a Tesla with Bitcoin and then he just pulled it away. Yeah. Like just on one day, just gone. And that's what I think just tanked that stock for a while too. Yeah. Was that whole thing. Cause it's Elon's a wild card, I think. And people, you either love him or you hate him too. I think he's brilliant, but at the same time, sometimes I just want him to shut his mouth.
Yep.
Because I'm like, you're hurting.
You can't
you're hurting
accomplish
us.
all this amazing stuff without being a weird genius, right?
Yeah. Being a bit
I truly believe that too. You just work on another level than regular people, and we don't get you because there's no way we can. We're not can't even see the level you're on, man. Yeah. Like I remember seeing the Joe Rogan interview with him, and he was talking about how he literally can't turn it off. He can't turn off his mind. And I'm like, I can. Just give me some whiskey. and it's just like, then you kind of, the way he says it too, you just kind of feel for him. It's just kind of like you're on another level, man. And I don't think you're genuinely happy being on that level. It's just who you are. You're always just going to be mind 100% going, which is, it's got to have its good and it's definitely got its bad.
I just sent Liem an article where Elon has agreed to talk to Jack Dorsey, who's the owner of Twitter and Square, and Kathy Wood is somehow involved, and Kathy Wood is a famous hedge fund. For high tech.
She just lost a lot of money.
Yeah,
she just lost a ton of money on SpaceX, not SpaceX, Virgin Galactic. She sold it at like 12, and now it's at 50, I think.
Wait, the rocket company stock rocketed up?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Actually, it's swaying too because it was like $70, and then the correction happened, and it dropped all the way to 17. And I think that's when she sold all of it. And then now it's back because I think he announced, or Richard Branson, right? Branson, said that he was going to be on the first flight that they took. And then once he said that, the stock just skyrocketed. And now
that doesn't make any sense.
50.
Like, why does that?
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't. And it'll fall. It'll correct because there's no real information. That's something that's changed. I know they got an FAA approval too, so that might have something to do with it. But I think that it'll eventually correct. But
did you see for Jeff Bezos he's going to jump on his first space flight for his company Blue Origin?
Blue Origin. He's gonna do that too. I didn't hear that.
No, this is probably a week ago. So Jeff has announced he's going to be on his first Blue Origin flight, right? And then I think something like 100,000 people signed a petition to please don't come back to Earth. Like, just stay up there.
I was trying to find that petition. I couldn't find it. I was going to sign it.
I'd sign that in a heartbeat, man. That's insane. Did you see that? Just a little off topic. Did you see the documentary on that one where that pregnant lady peed herself trying to get from one place at the warehouse to the other because they can't take breaks because they have to fulfill so many things in a day. So like they want to take breaks, but they can't take breaks because they have to get a quota, and they're just filming her, and she's running down this pregnant lady just trying to walk from one side of the warehouse to the other and just let it roll, just piss herself.
What's this pregnant lady doing in a warehouse?
Exactly. Shouldn't she be at home? Shouldn't you pay for help her out? No, that's what kind of pissed me off about all that.
Is this
how do you have that much money and not help your people?
Is this the main reason you don't like Jeff Bezos? I'm just
curious.
curious.
Think he could do a lot better with all the money. Yeah, he makes so much money. So much, and I know you can do whatever you want with your money. Hey, it's a free country. Do what you want with it. But I couldn't. Morally, I couldn't have that much money.
$180 billion? What?
Yeah. If you go on YouTube, and there's a real awesome way they explain it. They use grains of rice, and some guy like separated all these grains of rice, and each one was like $10,000 each. Yeah, you saw that? Yeah. And like it really puts it into perspective. Do you see how much money he has? And it's just like the smallest little pile of rice you take out would feed like a country for like 10 or like a year or something like that. And I just don't see how you can have that much money and not help more. I'm sure he helps. I'm sure he does what he can. But part of me thinks he does that for like tax breaks, and it's something that benefit himself.
Look, if I could make billions of dollars by making thousands of pregnant women pee themselves, I'd be okay with that. Is that not
just an happy push?
That's not how that works.
So we have hopefully Em and I have a pretty cool podcast in the works.
You're gonna break the
just
the teaser.
This is the teaser. So we have potentially 4 or 5 people, employees that work at Amazon, and they're going to give us their either expose or insider information on their information on what it's like to work there, what they experienced, what they saw, how they felt. And we're just going to sit because they want to go anonymous, most of them. I think all of them.
Okay. Smart.
Yeah, so no one knows your job.
We're going to have it all written out, and then we're just going to read it all and then discuss the stories and our point of views. And Emmett, I think he's center right. I'm not sure about when I say that.
I'm not political.
I would call him, I would describe Emmett as center right, and I'm center left probably. And I think it'll be a good dynamic as we talk about, because even as we already started discussing the first story, I could see where me and his divide on certain opinions, but it's not that we do disagree, but we're able to discuss about it. And so he's going to maybe take a stand.
How it used to be.
Let's vilify this employer that's providing millions of paychecks and benefits and health insurance for our good Americans.
Vilify when he's abusing all of them with all his powers. So we're basically gonna go back and forth on some of those, and we have a pretty funny prop where it's a printed Jeff.
Oh, don't tell everybody!
A printed Jeff Bezos head, and he's gonna hold up the head when he says something in favor of Amazon or Jeff Bezos, and I'm gonna be the person fighting against that. So it'll be pretty fun.
I subscribed and put alerts on, man. So as soon as that comes out, I will watch it.
Awesome. We did make you a cutout of like a crying poor child.
pregnant women peeing as they're walking through.
Yes, a pregnant woman with wet pants cut out for you. That's what we do.
Oh man. All right.
Up next.
Yeah, right.
All right. Next question. What's your favorite food?
Uh, fettuccine Alfredo with sausage and chicken, like grilled chicken.
Oh,
Yeah,
fettuccine
my dad makes
Alfredo.
it. He's made it since I
sausage
was a kid,
Alfredo.
and like he'll make that for my birthday like every year. I'll gain 7 pounds, but it's
Somehow.
delicious.
No, I love I love Alfredo sauce.
Yeah,
I mean, when
fettuccine.
if you microwave it, afterwards you see it just turns to a pile of
Turns
liquid.
into oil. Yeah.
Oh yeah, liquid, just liquid sitting at the bottom.
That's only that it makes me bad. Makes me feel bad when I eat Alfredo because I think of that image
Yeah.
microwaving
Oh yeah.
afterwards.
Wait, do you know what's in
Gotta eat it
Alfredo
that day.
sauce?
Oh man, don't kill me with this. What's in it?
No, it's
Oh.
butter, milk, and cream, right?
Yeah,
And Parmesan
Yeah.
cheese.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those are generally
Oh.
the main ingredients. But what's funny is they all start as milk. So you got to turn milk into these other ingredients
Oh.
and then get them
That's
back
what-
into Alfredo sauce somehow.
All the forms of milk.
Yeah, it's a weird.
I have never thought of that. That's insane.
Yeah, go look up a Alfredo recipe and you'll see it's mostly milk products.
Just milk. I know when you first started that, I thought you were going to say there was something random in it that I'd never heard of, and it was going to ruin.
Like Caesar,
Alfredo sauce
Caesar
for the rest
dressing
of
or
my
something.
life.
No, it's the
Yeah,
tears
something
tears
weird.
of tears of Italian children is how they make it taste really good.
All right, next question. Think of at least 2 friends that should do this conversation. Call them out.
Yeah, who are the interesting people you
Kevin,
know?
Have you guys done anything with like 3D printing at all?
No,
Can he?
no.
Oh,
You know, you interviewed Dennis White. That's how
Yep.
he I think called me out or something.
Yeah. He called you out.
Yeah. Kevin White, his brother.
Oh, okay.
ah.
Yeah, he's the dude. I his 3D printing knowledge is insane, and honestly, I think that would be a great addition.
I hope he's printing
for you
guns.
guys.
I hope he's printing
No,
guns.
he works with kids. He's teaching. He's a teacher, so he's been
Oh.
helping them out.
It'd be bad if
yeah,
he's printing guns.
I was gonna say.
We need the ratings, goddammit. We need viewers. Nobody wants to see children
yes.
3D printing whatever the fuck they print. I'm
Barbie.
kidding. Sorry. Kevin White. Is that what it is?
Kevin White. Yeah, I'm gonna go
We're
with
coming
one. I
after
don't
you,
really
bro.
have yeah, exactly. I'll go after him. If you wanted to get more on the SDG&E side of like how power is changing and stuff like that, maybe Joe Anderson, but that's about it. Only
Okay.
2 people I can really think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would
Because
be
he works for
interested.
SDG&E. He
I'd
works
love
for
to talk to a
SDG&E,
power
so-
company guy. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, when you mentioned Noah Diaz and Joe
Yeah.
Anderson,
Yeah.
what are they kind of doing with their lives, and do you think they would be good podcast guests?
Yeah, actually, Noah would be too. I mean, he's got a soccer mind, so that'd be something cool to pick at. Joe, like I said, is working for SDG&E, and Noah is bartending at the Regal. It's in La Mesa. It's a small bar. That one might be a good one for just going off someone that had to deal like in the service industry like during the pandemic, because he's been through a lot. He's had to work other jobs. That dude's a worker though. Like he's a worker. So he's not one of those people that can just sit around and just not work and have people give him money. Even if when he's getting money, he still wants to work hard and make money. So, but yeah, that's what he's been doing. And Joe's been doing great, man. Joe is also a traveler, dude. That guy's he's been with me to almost every state in the United States, but he's also been around the world. Like he's here in San Diego, like 2 weekends out of the year or out of the month. And then the other 2 weekends, he's in Alaska, he's in Germany, he's in Australia, he's in, he's everywhere. So that'd be good.
Do all of
But yeah,
these
they're
buddies, do they know to keep an eye out for battery sources for you?
Actually, yes. Yes. Because Joe's in SDG&E, so they all have those computers, and they're called Tough Books. So, but the back of them, they still use these. So I was like, man, anytime you see some of those batteries just laying around, just grab them. I know exactly what's inside them, so they're good.
Awesome. All right. Last question. Tell me in a few sentences or less about what this conversation was like. If you've done a podcast or interview before, describe the biggest difference. I may use this answer in a video collage for new potential guests.
This was, I had more fun than I thought. I thought I'd be a lot more nervous, and I wasn't. So you guys are pretty welcoming people, and that's actually what Dennis told me. He's like, dude, he's gonna calm you down right away. They talk very like, yeah. So I was like, okay, and he's absolutely right. I love that I did it, and I'm it's been a lot of fun.
You're a
And
star
I
now,
kinda
man. You're
forgot
going to be
the
famous.
Oh yeah, the battery guy.
No, I enjoy this battery talk a lot. Like I don't know. I guess, I mean, I would have, it's just, you don't know, you usually don't know people that get this in depth onto something of this magnitude. The chances of you killing yourself, the awesomeness of powering your house, your car, being off the grid. It's just awesome.
I've been waiting all my life to talk about batteries for 3 hours.
And that's what's crazy. Like Dennis said it would fly. And honestly, you were like, oh, we're coming to the last question. It's like, really?
The two questions I wanted to ask you, what's your end game for it? And then do you see somehow Tesla legally going after you for using their name in your channel?
I'll answer the second one first. No. Because Elon Musk has actually liked some of the people that have posted like their Powerwalls. So I don't think he has an issue, or they have an issue with what we're doing.
Oh, okay.
If anything, I think they like it because because of the whole like shipping all these what we think are dead batteries over to China as waste, and then they turn around and sell it back to us. So it's just, for me, that's, I think for him it's more, and he's a green guy, he's a green energy guy, so I think he'd rather see people like us take those recycled batteries and build something awesome with it than to do what we were doing before.
Nice.
So, and then the first question, what's my end game here? Honestly, once I'm done building it, I'd like to say I'm done, but that is also what I said when I built the first one. Like, oh, this is a cool hobby, but when I built it, I'll be done. And then I played with it for like 6 months or so, and I was like, I want to build something bigger. So like I ended up literally taking that thing completely apart and then merging it into this one, which is going to be, about 4 or 5 times bigger than that one was. So
do you think
I don't know. I don't really know what my end game is. I might just build
end.
things like bikes or a boat. I thought about building an electric boat. Like I think there's more things I can get into. It won't be a Powerwall anymore though. But I think I'll keep having projects.
Do you see having like having a product that you would either mass produce or even services that you sell, like consulting or something in the realm of electric building Powerwalls, or helping consult people in building the Powerwall?
I thought about the consultant thing only because this started off as a hobby. It really did. And now that I've gotten like pretty good at it, I've had a lot of people ask me questions, and I don't mind answering them. Like I remember when I was the guy starting off, and I was just, please somebody help me because this stuff is cool. So yeah, consulting wise, I went to go look at panels. I had to take my car to get serviced, and there was a solar company next door, and I was actually just curious if they sold panels. So I walked in there, and the guy started trying to sell me on panels, and I literally just talked around him because I hate to say this, but I felt like I did know more than he did. And then I started talking about the battery backups and what they had, and then I told him what I was building, and then his eyes just got huge, and he was like, well, why don't you come and build one of those, bring it down here, we'll see it. Well, I'm like, oh no, this is too far for a hobby. Like, this is getting a little too serious with this. So as much as I'd like to do that, I love this as a hobby. I don't think if I ever take it outside of that, I think I would lose a little love for it. Because that's kind of what happened with computers with me. As a kid, I loved them. I loved taking them apart. I loved troubleshooting them. When it became a job, now it's more like a job. Even when I do it for myself, I feel like it's kind of a job. So I don't want to do the same thing with it. Yeah, right, man. My teen years, 18 to 25. That was me. Little flash. Shout out to my sister for etching this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a great talk and a pleasure, right?
Yeah, Steven. Thank you so much for enlightening us and letting us know all your wisdom. Thank you so much, man.
Cheers.
Yeah, no, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for the future. Clean energy future.
Go to DIY Powerwall on Facebook.
And then also, actually plug yourself too. So you have your YouTube channel, which is My Tesla Powerwall. My
Tesla Powerwall, yeah. And right now I'm just building the packs. I kind of walk you through it just because I know that's kind of the part everybody gets to scared us about, just kind of starting it. So right now it's basically just telling you exactly how I build one. And then maybe in a couple months from now, if I can find time, will be when I'm actually building like the server rack. And that'll be the fun part, because that's when you'll see things start coming together. And then eventually I'll do tests on the car. where we'll see, like, I'll charge it max and we'll put we'll put little temperature sensors everywhere to see how hot the thing's getting and how much it can handle, and very carefully. But, you know, a lot of tests, a lot of nerdy stuff coming up on it as soon as I can get some time. But it's fun.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. We'll see you next time.
Steven.
All right, man. See ya.